Achso, ja gut, Pech. Hallo Bayern. Na. Stop. Ah, Hilfe. So. Hallo. Mann, ey, es ist so mies, Final Fantasy wieder runterzuladen, ne? Ich hoffe, dass es hilft, dass wenigstens nachher nicht jedes Mal abstürzt, wenn ich es abstelle. Na, das ist weird. Aber... es geht lange. Weil das Spiel ist groß. Mittlerweile. So, gut. Ich habe, glaube ich, immer noch 300 MB, nee, 3000, nein, 3 Giga. 3 Giga runterzuladen? 3 Giga. Nee, warte, wie viel waren's? Nee, warte, das waren knapp unter 4000 MB noch. Glaube ich. Nee, warte, es waren mehr. Es waren mehr. Es waren, glaube ich, 41k. Also, 41 Giga. Keine Ahnung. Es geht lange. Ja. Und das ist mir eben, wie gesagt, das stürzt mir gerne mal ab, wenn ich es runterlade, weil halt mein Internet pups ist, ne? Und wenn du länger als 2 Sekunden nicht verbunden bist. Ah! Jetzt war ich noch bei... Keine Ahnung. Ich glaube, es sind immer noch so 1,5 Stunden. Ich weiß nicht. Das Problem ist, eigentlich im Normalfall, wenn es abstürzt, ist ja nicht so schlimm. Startet es wieder, dann startet es wieder da, wo es aufgehört hat. Aber ich glaube, vorher hat es irgendwas kaputt gemacht und es hat nicht wieder da angefangen runterzuladen, wo es eigentlich hätte sein sollen. Was doch sehr dumm ist. Naja, mache ich nachher nochmal. Wenn es das nicht fixt, dann ich habe keine Ahnung, warum es jedes Mal, wenn ich das Spiel beende, es abstürzt. Vor allem, ich bin es ja schon am Beenden. Warum stürzt es beim Beenden ab? Ich verstehe nicht. Naja. Boom. Ich habe komplett vergessen. Was ging es in dem Spiel? Wir mussten den einen Typen verteidigen. Der hat genau, das wieder mit dem Messer, ne? Das war das mit der Kanone, Messer. Ich weiß, um was es geht. Oh Gott. Und instant stimmt mein Internet schon wieder. Hallo. Vielleicht muss ich doch den Server wechseln. Jetzt ist wieder gut. Mann, ich hasse das. Ja, genau das. Eben, Anwendung bleibt offen und aus irgendeinem Grund kann ich halt auch nichts in den Vordergrund ziehen. Es ist ja nur eigentlich ein Fenster, aber ich kann nichts im Vordergrund ziehen. Aus irgendeinem Grund. Ich verstehe nicht, warum. Naja. Okay, jetzt ist wieder gut. Whatever. Und was haben wir noch gemacht? Ich weiß nicht mal, bis wo wir gekommen sind. Send help! Ich hätte meinen Stream nachgucken müssen. Bayern, um was geht's? Bitte. Ich frage dich. Es ist jetzt der Prüfung. So. Schriftlich, mündliche Prüfung. Was ist das letztes Mal passiert? Was hab ich getan? Ja ist keine Antwort. Die Frage beantworte man nicht mit Ja. Eieiei. Ich hab legit. Also eine Woche aussetzen bei dem Spiel ist kritisch. Aber wir haben diesen Zeugen. Aha, der macht was. der eine Zeuge, ja. Was war das? Warte, ich erinnere mich. Wir hatten 3 Bücher, die er liegen gelassen hat. Und das nicht ganz Mordopfer, das Koma-Opfer, hatte ja das Buch von dem wie heißt der Typ? Gardieb. Gardieb. Und jetzt wir denken, dass das geklaut wurde. Und keine Ahnung, was wir mehr denken. Dinge, ich weiß nicht. Keine Ahnung, ich verstehe doch nicht. Ich bin doch nicht verstehend. Kann es sein, dass das Bild nicht ganz in der Mitte ist? Warte, habe ich das Ding? Habe ich das verrutscht? Moment, das fällt mir gerade. Es ist weird, dass es so still ist. Unlock. Jetzt ist es nicht mehr dran. Warte. Ich krieg das hin. Aber dann reicht es im Rand ja nicht. Okay, keine Ahnung. Ich habe das Gefühl, ist es nicht mittig gewesen. Keine Ahnung, okay, whatever, I don't know. Ja, lass mal so. Ja, das Spiel spielen. Ich brauche dringend Spiele mit weniger Voice Acting. Ich meine mit mehr Voice Acting, dass ich weniger Voice Acting muss. So, verstehst du? Ja, aber wir wissen noch nicht genau, was passiert. Das müssen wir noch rausfinden. Stimmt, wir haben gesagt, die möchten gerne ihn als Zeugen haben und deswegen gab es die Pause, weil die so, ja, okay, dann müssen sie erstmal klären, ob das geht. Stimmt, genau. I have considered the defense counsel request for a further summation examination of the jury. And I have determined that the court must uphold the defense judicial rights to this procedure. Punkt. Schade, habe ich den Punkt-Emote noch nicht fertig. Ey, es zieht sich so lange. Ich mache einen Mix aus 2D, also aus Frame und Keyframe Animation und ey, ich bin nicht so talentiert darin. Ich mal anmerken. Oh, stirbt wieder mein Internet, das ist okay. Was sind nur Frames? Blub. Aber ich hab halt noch 4 Slots offen, ne? So, scheiße, ich komme nicht vorwärts. So, counsel. You will now proceed with your second summation examination. I presume the jury is ready, Mr. Foreman. Ach stimmt, das war der Bruce. Bruce Fairman oder so. Ja, my lord. Ich brauche bessere Stimmen. Very good. In that case, I must ask each of you now to state clearly and concisely for the court the grounds on which you find the defendant guilty of this crime. Nein, nicht Wario. Ja, das letzte Mal schon. Okay. The jurors' contentions. The accused left behind evidence at the scene, the ENG. That's 3 books of his. Yeah, okay. If there was some novel alternative explaining about how the victim was stabbed, I might reconsider. Das ist auf dem Fenster geflogen, ja. Even if the woman was throwing books, it can't be related to this crime if the window was closed, can it? Ja, sag mal! Fräulein Dame, war das Window zu? Stimmt. Dearie me, it was only a little book. Hardly life-threatening, even with a direct hit. Okay, I just want to get this over with. If I don't bring home some pay tonight, I'll be in a tiny bit of trouble. Come to think of it. We had a fire at home a while ago. I gave me the sneezes. Also, es hat wieder alles nichts mit dem zu tun. Mann. Warum sagen die mir Sachen, die nichts mit dem zu tun haben? Das ist mega schlimm. Ich glaube, das haben wir gesagt, dass sie die Frau ist. Das haben wir gesagt. Also, ich meine, ja, wir haben das ja noch rausgefunden. Das war ja noch im Ende vom Investigation-Teil, den wir ja noch spielen mussten, weil ich vorher zu früh gecuttet habe. Yes. Considerably more tangible arguments from all members of the jury this time around, it seems. Meinst du? Ich weiß ja nicht. With one notable exception, of course. Hey, schon mit seinem Weinglas. My learned student friend wasn't able to find faults in the previous witness testimony. So the court must accept the fact that it was indeed the accused seen fleeing from the scene. And moreover, das arme Glas. No one else was even at the scene to commit the crime. Ja, aber. Okay. Komm mal ein bisschen näher. Hallo! Ich rutsch mal näher ran. Ich sollte mal ein bisschen gerader sitzen. Hi. Well, if the eyewitnesses are correct, it would seem as if the conclusion is somewhat set in stone. Nee, ich habe nicht gebongt. Was redest du? Ich habe nur mein Mikrofon näher reingenommen. Weil ich versuche gerade zu sitzen, weil ich sollte versuchen gerade zu sitzen. Wenn das Sinn ergibt. I fail to see how it can be argued any other way. That means I'm afraid that using this during this summation examination, it's essential that you establish some other tangible explanation for the facts. But how? What would even constitute a tangible explanation here? Isn't it obvious? Ah, Vansix redet doch mit uns. Who stabbed the woman and how? Those two details are all you need to provide. Warum hilfst du? Simply give us a name and the method by which the attack was conducted. There I was thinking this might be hard. But Mr. Naruhodo, you have to do it. Otherwise, this really will be where the trial ends. No pressure then. No pressure. Pressure na dip 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 da 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 da. Whoa. Pressure na dip 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 dip. Just go pop. Whoa. Oh, oh. Okay, sorry. Ich habe immer noch ein bisschen Encanto-Musik in meinem Kopf. Die lebt da jetzt rent-free. Ups. Gilt das dann als Cover, wenn ich das singe? Das ist ja nicht verklagen, bitte, danke. That's quite enough preamble. Proceed with the summation examination, please. Ich frage mich, ob es bringen würde, wenn ich den Server doch wechsle. I don't know. I presume you're prepared, counsel. Oh, yes, my lord. All right, Junosuke. Focus your mind now. Focus. Patch. Clearly, the key to the summation examination is going to be the Euro number 4, the maid. Or should I say Mrs. Garideb? Garideb war der Name. We have a book that disappeared from the Garideb's house on the evening of the incident. And the 4th book found in the victim's hand. There must be a way to link the two. Yes, that's what we have to find. Using every technique I've learned in my short career so far. Whatever it takes. Gehen schon mal rein. Ich möchte gern... Das war ja genau dieses Buch. Wie irgendwas hier noch finden. Uah. The Lion's Pride. Das Wäsche aufhängen. Viel Spaß. Und so, glaube ich. Ich glaube, das habe ich letztes Mal schon mal angeguckt. Ich gucke es doch trotzdem nochmal an. Lion's Pride. The Lion Stitch All. So wouldn't be anything hurt. Das hatten wir ja. Lion's Pride, Strange, Think, before title recognized too. Das hatten wir. Und wir haben ja auch das schon gesagt. Oder ist es Burned? Every time I can't believe how bad a band it is. Ja, okay. Ich glaube hier. hier gibt's nicht mehr. Hier sieht man das Bild, dass die Person das in der Hand gehalten hat. Man sieht das Messer, die anderen 3 Bücher. Das ist das Messer. Und man sieht, ich glaube, da haben wir das letzte Mal auch geguckt, dass die nämlich die Spitze abgebrochen, genau. Meine Vermutung war ja, dass das Opfer im Koma liegt, weil vermutlich die Messerspitze noch in ihrem Rücken ist. Oder halt zu nah an der Lunge und so. Genau, Ding. Das hatten wir auch schon angeguckt. Gibt es denn sonst noch irgendwas, was wir da angucken können? Sonst noch irgendwas? Nee, kannst du wieder zumachen. Okay, also beim Messer haben wir auch nicht mehr. Case-File. Rendered unconscious following a stab into the back. Olive green female short build. Early 20s. Pavement of Briar Road. The Rolly Beat. Victim contained unconscious enables. Cleaned from personal effects. Other details are unknown. But from the single stab wound from the large knife, no other signs of injury were observed. The assailant was seen running away by the reporting officer and was successfully arrested. Das sind die 3 Bücher, die wir hatten. The Picture of Monsieur Lecoq, Mir for Gaboriau und Canterbury Yearnings. Von Your Books. Und das finde ich mir genau. Da ist das der Your Books, da ist der andere Bookshop. Wird trotzdem wirklich hier durchgelaufen sein. Oder irgendwo hier zwischendurch. Ja. Okay, mehr haben wir gar nicht. Okay. Schwierig. Schwierig. Don't forget to keep an eye on Mrs. Scorrideb and how she reacts, even to the things other people say. Ja, true, stimmt. Das kann man auch tun. Da stehe ich nun. Hello, it's me. Die Evidence. Wo ist L? Links. Hold it! But as we know now, there were 4 books, not 3. Well, the difference doesn't make. But there's every possibility that the 4th book in fact belongs to the defendant's landlord. Yes. Kann ich eigentlich hier? Oh, ich kann auch gucken. True. Yes, that's the part I have a problem with. Sorry? Well, at the point the woman was stabbed, this landlord fellow was at home, wasn't he? Enjoying a fiery scrap with his wife or something, he said. That's not exactly how I put it, no? Well, anyway, the point is, the fellow and his wife were somewhere else when it happened. I think that's what you call a strong alibi. So it couldn't have been the landlord who did it, which only leaves the Nipponese fellow. Honestly, I can't see what all this palaver's about. It's a done deal, isn't it? I suppose it is, since I have nothing witty left to say. Oh, warte. Ich habe, glaube ich, etwas vergessen. Muss ich nur kurz aufmachen. So, ich möchte das da aber gerne sehen. So. Okay. So, bei der richtigen Feste richtig angeordnet. Wir pressen einfach mal auf alles und gucken, was davon kommt. So, you might be willing to change your decision, you mean? Oh my, such delight on your face, but I'm afraid I shan't be swayed by emotion. Despite what you may think of me, I'm very modern, metropolitan and rational woman. That's great. If one reads the morning papers, it's all forgotten by tea time, isn't it? So I read them in the first place. You see? Modern, metropolitan and rational thinking. Wouldn't you say? Ah, stimmt. Ich gebe auch einen Scheiß auf News. Ich rutsche gerade in meinem Stuhl runter. And not at all extreme. Was? Nee, extrem? Hier ist niemand extrem. Lüge. As I see it, an overwhelmingly suspicious Japanese man has been implicated by overwhelmingly strong testimony. So despite one or two minor puzzlements, I do declare that the man is overwhelmingly guilty. Great. Modern, metropolitan and rational logic, wouldn't you say? Overwhelmingly. Oh. But us modern gals are always delighted to embrace new fads, you know. So I'd be only too happy to consider an exciting new theory if you could come up with one. She says no. WB Bayern. I'd be happy to do that too if I only could. Let's do our very best not to disappoint the modern and metropolitan young lady. Right. I'm glad you omitted rational here, there. Gut. But what about the possibility that the window was open? What about it? I mean, there's just no way it could have been. How can you be so sure? The prosecution fellow over there said it earlier, didn't he? Winters in London are not joke. You don't want to invite that sort of cold indoors. So no, that window wasn't open. Us Londoners like sitting by the fire and staying warm, see? Ja genau, wenn ich das Rauchen zu habe, dann mache ich auch erstmal Fenster nicht auf. Finde ich gut. But you couldn't categorically state that the window wasn't open, could you? It just wasn't. They wouldn't have opened it. Then what's the point in even having windows, huh? Oops. Counsel, you will kindly refrain from childish bickering. Oh, sorry. Somehow I need to show there's an undeniable possibility that the window was open. Because this young man isn't going to budge otherwise. Okay. Ja, du hast Buch. But the little book was on fire at the time, was it not? With flames of love, I'll have you know. There's really no such thing as a loving incendiary bomb. Hat sie gerade den Typen daneben gehauen? Well, he brought it up himself. It's playing with fire to betray a fiery love. Isn't it? Well, don't you agree? Oh, well, any kind of betrayal is certainly a bad thing, yes? But I think the argument might have arisen out of your misunderstanding, Miss Scurrydepp. Never you mind that. The point is, we were just having a trivial little dispute, nothing more. Geht's dir gut? Geht's dir gut? Sie haut dich die ganze Zeit. And I won't have any more of these suggestions that it was anything whatsoever to do with this crime. Gut. Right. Well, we'll see about that. But what about juror number 5? He doesn't seem to be turning a head, Mrs. Gorrydepp's relentless onslaughts. It's almost as though he's used to it. What a gentle soul he is. Okay. Und er hat mal wieder keine Infos gegeben. You just want to get this over with. How can you sit there and say something like that? A man's future is at stake here. Him and me both then. Like I said before. What? Schon vergessen. I told you already. I'm a day laborer, aren't I? If I don't bring home someone ready is with me tonight, you'll find me floating face down in the Thames tomorrow morning. What? You heard me? My missus isn't one to mess about. You know, she can be fierce, believe you me. Another shining example of martial bliss then. A situation like this cropped up the other day. It was, well, yeah. No, it's funny, but I can't quite remember. Sorry? It was too frightening. That's the thing. I must have blocked it out. Helpful. I wonder if Mr. Bede will ever be dragged into the Thames by his scarf. Don't even go there, Miss Susato. There must be some way to jog his memory about this. Ich weiß ja nicht, was es bringt, Leute gegeneinander zu pitten gerade. Was ist du? Does that have anything to do with your decision about the defendant's culpability in this case? So sorry? What's that? You'll have to speak up, lad. Could you tell us more about that fire? It was last winter. My grandchildren baked me a lovely cake on my birthday. It had 75 candles on the top, indeed. What a sight to behold it was. You put candles on a cake? Was it some kind of devil worship? Nice. Good. Of course not. It was an angel cake to celebrate my birthday, obviously. It seems that's a common custom here in Great Britain, Mr. Naruhodo. Anyway, I mustered all my puff to blow them out. Only I must have blown wrong somehow. The flames didn't go out, but candles went flying all over the room. Good. The furniture caught and everything went up. The whole place filled with smoke. Definitely sounds like a devil worship to me. And by the sneeze, I presume you mean a cold. But how did you catch a cold from a fire? What if you ask who it was? The grandchildren, bless them, threw water over me as they tried to put out the flames. And then, because the whole room had filled up with smoke, of course, we had to open all the windows to clear it. The windows? The biting winter air rushed over me like the devil dancing on my grave. It did. I caught a terrible cold from it. It put me in hospital for a while. I won't forget that birthday in a hurry. I knew it was the devil's worship all along. But something about this old man's story is playing on my mind for some reason. Okay, ich kann ihn mit Nummer 3 pitten. We need to demonstrate who, apart from Mr. Natsume, could have attacked the young woman on the street. As well as how he or she could have done it. Yes, but once again, the jurors' statements are full of personal prejudice. A lot of them seem convinced they're right, even in the face of logical arguments to the contrary. I think you're going to need to pit them against each other to force them to accept an alternative explanation. Yes. I don't necessarily need to find contradictions between their assertions. Just a connection might do the trick. Alright, I'll see what I can do. If anything stands out, I'll go in for a strike. That's the spirit. Okay, also wie gesagt, ich denke Nummer 3 mit 6. 3. Oh, ne, warte. Nummer 3 mit ihm. Er sagt, Winterhouse fires of dial. After we still clear the smoke. That's when the chill gets you. Hat sich jetzt bei ihr auch was geändert? Okay. Aber da, auf jeden Fall die 2. That's when the chill gets you, see. If the window was closed, can it. Also genau. Okay. Opa war's. These two jurors' statements clearly contradict one another. They do? How exactly, counsel? Don't point at me again! I told you it wasn't me! Hmm? Oh, what's that you say? Speak up, lad, speak up! Kann ich, meine Stimme will nicht. Juror number 3, do you see? Oh, me? See what, sir? Did you hear juror number 6 account of his birthday celebrations last year? It seems, despite being a Londoner, he once opened his windows in the middle of winter. Yes, of course, because it was an emergency. I mean, obviously, if the room was filled with smoke from a fire, then you'd be mad not to open the... Oh! Wow, so ich bin schlau. Okay. Exactly. On the day in question, at the time of the incident, there was a fire in the Gorry-Depp household. And Mr. Gorry-Depp had the following to say about it. The whole place filled with smoke. Oh my... that... Das ist eine geile Teekanne, die hat unendlich Tee. Wie mache ich das mit A? Good lady!
Excuse me.
Juror number 4. Do you have something to say about that? Du, Fräulein! Sie müssen doch gleich auf die Toilette. Schlimm. Mrs. Gorry-Depp. Oh, dearie me. What's the meaning of this? How dare you imply that I'm hiding who I really am? It's imperative that you confirm something for the court. Too much tea, yeah. So please, it's time to drop the pretense now. What is it? When the fire started in your house that day, did you or your husband open the window? What? I beg your pardon? What are you insinuating? The room would have been thick with smoke after that carpet and bookcase caught fire as they did. In a situation like that, it's conceivable that you wouldn't have opened the window. It's inconceivable, so. Worte. Ja. And what if you did? Oh, alright then. Yes, you're right. My husband was frantically trying to open the window, which can't have been easy since I continued to give him a justly deserved book battering. Even though your house was on fire. Oh, you never stop throwing until the anger subsides. It would be terribly bad for their nerves to do otherwise. Of course. I should have realized. That's a significant step forward, Mr. Naruhodo. You've managed to establish that the window was open. We simply must have that added to Mrs. Gorry-Depp's formal statement. Okay. Okay, dann können wir jetzt mal mit ihr reden. The fourth book found at the scene of the crime shows very obvious signs of the fire damage. And the title of the book is The Lion's Pride. The same title, in fact, as the book that Mr. Gorydepp told us he had been reading. Well, I really couldn't say. On the day in question, did you or did you not throw that at your husband? The copy of The Lion's Pride that he had been reading. Okay, klingt interessant. I did. It was the first thing I could say could lay my hands on, so I hurled it straight at him. And how you come to mention it, yes. He was rather enjoying reading it, you're right. Why did you not reveal this information to the court from the outset? Dauert schon wieder 5. Because I couldn't. You insolent little man. I didn't remember. At times like that, you pick up and throw whatever you can lay your hands on, as well you know. Good. I really don't. I barely noticed I was throwing a book, much less the title of it. Oh. Good day, sir. Was guckst du so? Hi. Na?
Excuse me.
What is it, juror number 5? Was guckst du so? Know something? I've remembered what it was that Mary had blocked out. Huh? I was listening to what this granny was saying. Brought it all flooding back, granny? Who are you calling a granny, you cheeky devil? I'm Mrs. Gorydepp or the maid, I'll have you know. Good. The man doesn't even flinch. Please tell me that's not because he's so used to being hit all the time. It was about 2 weeks ago now. I just got back home after work, like... I put my hand in my pocket for the wages I just earned that day. And I nearly died. There was a hole. Every last penny had dropped out. Okay. Oh dear, what a disaster. Was hat das mit dem zu tun? You haven't heard the half of it, boy. Oh? Wife was cutting up some chicken at a time. I could hardly get the words out, but I told her straight. I've lost a day's wages, Loof. Next thing I knew, the blade was whistling past my ear. Stuck into the wall next to me, it did. About an inch deep. No words. Just terror. Could smell it then, you know. That god-awful stench of the Thames, whatever, I don't know. I was sure I was going to end up face down in the muddy banks that night, I can tell you. Now, that's a real disaster, isn't it? I'll never use the word lightly again. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is this. When a woman loses their rag, they'll throw anything at you. Knives, hatchets, hammers, you name it. Mr. Naruhodo, you must not think that all women are so short-tempered and unrefined. No, I wasn't thinking that. Throwing household objects at people is, well, it's so uncivilized. At least attack with honor, using a bow or the likes. What? Attack? Who are you going to attack? Never mind. Anyway, this man's words could be rather significant, I think. Alright, we'll come back to the bow and arrow thing later, if I dare. Okay. A woman in rage will hurl almost everything. Okay, jetzt haben wir das. Das heißt, ich schätze mal, wir können... If there was some novel alternative explanation about how the victim was stabbed. Gibt 2 Sinn, ich glaube schon, ne? Den hatten wir ja schon, eigentlich. Die 2 haben wir gegeneinander gepittet. Also wir müssen die 2 müssen wir dann auch nochmal pitten. So just saying. Okay, aber ich glaube die 2. Okay.
Objection!
Those 2 statements clearly have a deeply significant connection. Good grief. I mean, they don't contradict each other. Explain the counsel at once. Drill number 2. Do you think perhaps... Kabel. Point. That this could be one such novel alternative? Oh my. Whatever do you mean? An alternative explanation as to how the victim was stabbed in the back. What are you talking about? I've demonstrated that the 4th book, The Lion's Pride, that was found at the scene of the crime, originated from in Mr. Gary Depp's room on the top floor of his house. Therefore, it's equally possible that some other object besides the book could have found its way from the Gary Depp household to the street below. What's that now? After all, Mrs. Gary Depp could have thrown any number of different objects at her husband. Isn't that right, juror number 4? What are you insinuating? Now, you little beanpole! Oh. I'm beginning to think that ever since the true origins of this book came to light. Hallo Seppo, na, es geht. Perhaps she's had a feeling this might be what happened. Also ich glaube, es ist doch, in dem Fall ist doch das passiert, was ich ganz am Anfang mal gesagt habe. Das Fenster aus... das Fenster? Nein, nicht. Nein, es wurde nicht das Fenster aus dem Messer geschmissen. Nein. Ah, Kopf. Dass das Messer aus dem Fenster geschmissen wurde. So, danke. Das ergibt mehr Sinn. Doch durchspielen bis morgen, hui. Und wie lange hast du schon gespielt? Wie lange bist du schon drin? Wie viel noch? Now listen here, you Eastern Gala. Das ist Gala. Gala? Okay. As the foreman of this jury, I demand a straight answer. You gave us this yarn about some other object making its way out of the house. But what? What was it? Ja, das Messer. Was denn sonst? I'm really taking a big gamble here. That's what a bold accusation to make. But I haven't any real evidence to back it up. But I'm certain that at the very least, this warrants further investigation. Ja, lass mal bluffen. Ja, die bluffen können wir gut. Alright, Mr. Foreman. I'll try to explain the defense theory. The other object that found its way from the Gary Depp household to the scene of the crime was this Messer.
Take that!
$20 Level über der Story. Ja gut, easy, ne? So kann man es ja auch einfach machen. Juror number 4. Mrs. Gary Depp. What now? I must apologize in advance for this. But I need you to confirm something else for the court. This knife. Have you ever seen this knife before? Ja, gut. Einfach alles außer Mainstory. Ja, gut, kann man auch machen. Good Lord, Counsel! What on earth are you doing? That's the weapon that was lodged into the victim's back, man! Ja, ich weiß. Aber... Oh oh. My lord, remember that when the victim was attacked, Mr. and Mrs. Scorrydept were in the throes of an argument. Mrs. Scorrydept was hurling anything she could at her husband, who'd been backed up against the window. A window that had been opened to clear the smoke, and through which a book sailed to land at the crime scene. You can't seriously believe that. The book was found in the victim's grasp. Are you saying that it flew out of the window and across the street to land neatly in her hand? Even my business hasn't got a name like that. Yes, I admit that there are many details we don't yet understand. But that's the point. That's precisely why. We must not allow this trial to end. Not right now. Oh my. Oh, OP9! Mrs. Scorrydept, your answer, please. Have you seen this knife before or not? Okay, ich glaube, es ist ihr Messer. Da fliegt sie. Da steht. Ich glaube, gut. My lord! I wish to change my decision. I'm a woman of my word, after all. Thank you, madam. Yes, I agree. I certainly didn't see this coming, but... Just don't think it would be right for this trial to come to an end now with so many unanswered questions. Mr. Foreman! I have to agree. Not that I think the granny did it, mind. Es war wenn ein Unfall. Yes, you know what? I'm not quite happy about this at the moment either. All together now, ladies and gents. 3, 2, 1, go! We did it! Ach, die Musik. Ah, die ist gut. Die ist noch changed up. Oh, congratulations, Mr. Naruto. We did it. Oh, die Musik ist voll gut. Yeah! Eigentlich brauche ich Catchamp, Leute. Catchamp. Catchamp! Oh. Einfach Musik hören. So, as a result of the defense summation examination, a number of jurors' leanings have changed. Cat mit Sonnenbrille. Ja, es ist fast Catchamp, ja. 2 jurors called guilty against 4 now calling innocent. Accordingly, the opinion of the court is divided. And this trial will continue. Nice. We did it! We did good. Nice. And now it's time. Jetzt müssen wir noch Van Siegs besiegen. Now then, Lord Van Siegs. How does the prosecution wish to proceed? Erstmal ein Stück Wein trinken. Ja, mag ich auch. Also nicht Wein, aber... Zeit für den Boss. Ah! Basically. This trial is rapidly descending into a farce. Alkohol. Kannst du nicht während dem Arbeiten trinken? Van Siegs. Don't. Ups. Da wollte ich nicht reindrücken. Sorry. Like crooked wine. Corked wine. Sorry, nicht ein crooked, corked. Corked wine. The first few sips are bitter enough. Ja gut. Was ist das, wenn... Warte. Im Deutschen heißt das, wenn der Wein Zapfen hat, ne? Ich habe keine Ahnung, ich verstehe nichts von Wein. Safe Tomatensaft ist so. I don't know. Nein! Oh, das ist einmal klar. Gute Musik. But what follows is so repugnant. It's good for nothing, save the gutter. Ich glaube, er meint das, wenn er Zapfen hat. Keine Ahnung, oder wie man den sagt. Wenn der Wein nicht gut ist, so, keine Ahnung. Verstehe doch nichts. If a landlord wants six, the defense has just put forward an incredible alternative explanation for what happened. Credible? Is that your considered opinion, Mr. Foreman? Die Musik ist so gut. The defense argument is a joke to which I barely know how to respond. But let me start by insisting that you must all familiarize yourselves better with the relative positions of those places being discussed. What do you mean by that? What's his angle this time? It should already be more than apparent that between the crime scene and the Goridept household runs a rather wide street, Briar Road. Which means that the distance from the Goridept's house to the scene of is some, yes, 15 yards. Das sind wie viele Meter? Ah, danke, Susato. Let me see. 15 yards. That's around 14 meters. Ja und? Ja, aber 14 Meter ist doch nicht weit. Also auf 14 Meter kannst du schon ein Messer schmeißen. Vor allem, wenn es von oben nach unten ist. Hä? Also, stellt es nicht so dar, als ob das unmöglich, so weit kann niemand was schmeißen. Ja. Habt ihr auch schon mal in der Schule Bälle werfen müssen? Ich glaube, da hatten Leute, die haben 25, 30 Meter geschafft. Also ich nicht. Ich habe vielleicht 10 geschafft. Ich bin scheiße. Aber das geht. Definitiv. 14 ist nicht so viel. 14 meters? Oh, that's a little farther than I'd imagined. Das geht doch. And, as you ladies and gentlemen of the jury rightly noted as having portentous significance, the fourth book was found in the victim's clutches. Ja, wenn sie es aufgelesen hat. 14 Meter ist halt legit nichts. Der einzige Grund, warum ich es nicht geschafft habe, ist einfach, weil ich blöd war und ich keinen Ball werfen kann. Aber ich habe tatsächlich schon mal Messerwerfen gemacht. Wir haben es, glaube ich, da zwar nur auf 12 Meter oder so gemacht, aber auf 12 Meter kannst du schon recht gut werfen. Das geht sehr gut. Und sogar gut mit Treffen. Aber wenn du überlegst, halt einfach mit voller Kraft geschossen, aus dem Fenster raus, von oben nach unten, kann das schon sein, kann das schon so ein Bogen fliegen und könnte den getroffen haben. Also ich verstehe nicht, warum sie das so tun. Das geht gar nicht, das ist unmöglich. Alter, das ist plausibler als jeder Conan-Fall. Also wirklich. Ma. Ja, also ich find's immer ein bisschen lustig, wie sie so, oh, 14 Meter, boah, das ist voll weit. Nein, ist es nicht. Oh, Mann, ey. In other words, this smoldering book, vanity held by the lady of the house, traveled some 15 yards to land on the opposite side of the road, neatly between the collapsed victim's fingers and thumb. Nein, das Buch flog zuerst. Willst du sagen, Gott ist nicht realistisch? Was? Nein, wie? Hä? Hab ich nichts gesagt. Nur manchmal. Wenn sie zum Beispiel mit dem Auto über ein Dach fliegen, was? Okay. Weltbild zerstört. Nein, wir haben das Weltbild von Nase zerstört damit. Is that your final conclusion, my learned and deluded friend? Die Angelschnur! Hatten die damals schon Angelschnuren? Hier. Da, Die haben natürlich, Angelschnur. Angelschnur kam in so vielen vor, ich habe schon gar keinen Überblick mehr. And did the jackknife follow a near identical trajectory? Ich schätze mal, das ist der Flugpath. Ne, der Flugbahn. Behaupte ich mal. To plunge into the middle of the victim's back. This fantasy is somewhat stretching the notion of having a bad day for the victim, I think. Ja, ist es. Okay, gut. Ha! Okay, ich binde also genau, Miss Scurry hat natürlich eine Angelschnur an das Messer gebunden und hat es aus dem Fenster gekickt. Lass mal das. Ich glaube nicht. Even those pathetic serialized detective stories have more believable plots. Also, please. Nee, ich finde, das ist ein guter Plot, den ich hier aufbaue. Der ist gut. There's nothing I can say to that. The prosecutor loves the sound of his own voice. Nice. Miss Susato. Serialized detective stories are pathetic, are they? How dare he? Maybe let's pick our battles here. My lord, might I be allowed to speak? As judicial assistant, you may speak for the defense. Yes, go ahead. The prosecution may consider the idea a fantasy, but what the defense has postulated was believable enough to persuade the jury to change its learning. And as such, the court has a duty to explore this alternative explanation as thoroughly as possible. Leider können wir, ich glaube, wir können vermutlich keine Fingerabdrücke nehmen, ne? Die gab es damals noch nicht. Das ist doof. Natürlich ist es ein Krieg. To that end. Drawer number 4. Mrs. Trent-Goridep must be called to testify and submit to cross-examination. Saints alive! A cross-examination of a juror? Natürlich. Ja, die Person ist involved. Kannst ja nicht sagen, dass sie nicht involved ist. Order! 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 Well, this is highly irregular. It is unprecedented for a member of the jury to be summoned to the witness stand.
Objection!
Nein, Herr Wein! Da fliegt er. Gut. And unnecessary. Lord von Siegs? Nicht der Wein! There are already witnesses in the stand, whose testimony the defense may further cross-examine. If my learned friend's partial theory has any truth in it, then both a burning book and the jackknife must have flown through the sky before this couple's eyes. Im Nebel. Es hatte immer noch Nebel. And we must assume they would be able to testify accordingly. What say you, witnesses? Oh, wie habe ich die in Stimmung gemacht? Ach, der ja. Rolly geht wieder pennen. Rolly müde, Rolly schlafen. Yes, sir. Constable Rolly Beat, reporting for duty, sir. Ja, gut. Well. Good morning, officer. Alter! So, sorry for dozing off until now, sir. I haven't slept for a month. Im Monat? Jetzt übertreibst du aber, Junge. On account of a villain who's appeared on my beat, sir. Oh, they are so heroic, these London bobbies. Oh no. Patricia, my darling, I've been neglecting you, but no more. Oh, Rolly, my hero, you make me swoon. Can you stop? Okay. Gut. Great. Very well. I hereby reject the defense request. Oh. 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 And order the witnesses in the stand to testify again. Good. State forthwith before the court any details pertaining to the defense alternative explanation of events. Yes, sir! Ist jetzt nicht mehr sleepy? Doch, ist aber noch sleepy. Tja, müssen wir pennen. Aber er kann reden, er ist doch wach genug zum Reden, das ist schön. This case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garridepp. Believe me, a London Bobby is good for his words. You see, sir, the windows on the top floor of the Garridepp house are top-hinged casements. Was? Bitte, was sind die? Hä? Obviously, if anything had been thrown out of the window, we would have seen it. I did leave the scene to go and fetch help, but my trusty Rowley was there to make sure nothing was disturbed. I didn't take my eyes off the crime scene for a moment, sir. Nothing strange to report on that front, sir. Den Wein geht. Well, this is quite stalling. Top-hinged casement windows? What is the meaning of this? That detail was not in the police report, Constable. Yes, sorry about that. I must have been a little drowsy, You cannot excuse your sins with drowsiness every time, Constable. Oh. Oh, sir! Sorry, but... What exactly is a top-hinged casement window? And you cannot excuse your ignorance with such trial remarks, my learned friend. Oh, of course. Sorry. I found it, Mr. Naruhodo. Cast your mind back to the windows in Mr. and Mrs. Garridepp's room. All right, I try. So, the window opens in order to allow air to circulate inside the house. Oh. Ah, das ist gemeint damit. Sorry, ich kenne englische Begriffe für solche Sachen nicht. Es ist ein Kippfenster und kein Drehfenster. Ich verstehe schon. Also, weißt du, Kipp- und Drehfenster und man kann sie theoretisch auch verschrauben, wenn man will. Okay, jetzt gehen wir. Das ist ein falsches Territorium. Also. But as it's a top-hinged casement window, it swings open along the upper edge, you see? I'm glad you're rectified your ignorance. A casement window's most prominent feature is its stay metal bar which prevents the window from being opened beyond a certain amount. It prevents it opening? That's news to me. Absolutely correct, sir. In other words, if a book or knife were to have been thrown through the open window, es wird runterfallen. It would have clattered against the pane and fallen straight down to the pavement below. No. Okay, scheiße. Fuck. That's not good. You see the problem then? Good. Your education in Windows is complete. Nee, wir haben vergessen, verschraubte Fenster anzugucken und die Kippfenster und Drehfenster und Kippfenster und okay. Lass mal da. Habt ihr bitte auch Holzmetallfenster da? Das sind das Holzfenster. Was ist mit Plastikfenster? Kunststofffenster wären auch gut. Nee, warte, Kunststofffenster sind kacke. Wir wollen keine Kunststofffenster. Sind die einfach oder ist einfach verglast? Verglast, ups. Okay. Was? There was never any possibility of either the book or the knife traveling 15 yards over the road. Vom Winkel her. That is, unless the window pane has been shattered. Something with this discounted already. Nee, man muss sie nicht einhaken. Das ist nicht ein Einhaken. Das ist wie eine Schlaufe. Und du kannst halt, es dreht sich halt mit. Und es kannst halt maximal, bis es anhängt, kannst du es öffnen und nicht mehr auch. Also, du kannst es gar nicht. Es ist auch an dem festgemacht. Man kann es nicht mehr öffnen. Und so, ja, es ist halt zur Einrasterung, so ein paar. Did you see that, Rolly? That young Japanese man just collapsed in agony. Oh yes, my darling, I saw it. I saw how he crumbled before me. Was? Hä? Gut. Oh, Rolly, you're so strong. I can't. Oh God. Why? Oh, meine Fresse, ey. Oh, ich droppe gerade Frames, das ist nicht schön. Stop dropping the frames. Einen Moment. Ich warte kurz. Beruhig dich bitte. Come on. Hör doch auf, Frames zu droppen, bitte. Holy shit. Ah, okay. Da geht's wieder. Okay, da geht's, okay. Frames drop over. How is this happening? I haven't even started a cross-examination yet, and already my argument's been destroyed. Counsel, if you could drag yourself, und stirbt schon wieder, upright again, the court awaits your cross-examination. Ich bin mir gerade nicht sicher, ob das vielleicht sogar jetzt am Twitch-Server liegt. Vielleicht habe ich gerade wieder mal eine Scheißverbindung zur Twitch-Server. Ich gehe mal kurz überprüfen, ob es mein Internet ist. Wenn es gerade mal rot ist, dass ich mal gucke. Jetzt natürlich nicht. Jetzt natürlich wieder grün. Da geht's gerade rot. Mal testen. Ich will kurz gucken, ob das Ding liegt. Kannst doch keine erzählen. Oh Gott. Ich glaube, ich muss den Server wechseln. Ich glaube, das liegt gerade am Server-Connection. Könnte es sein, dass da gerade das Sturmtief ist? Orkan-Tief, das Orkan. Ork-Anlage. Die Ork-Anlage. Dass die Ork-Anlage gerade da ist irgendwo. Jetzt geht's gerade wieder. Aber eigentlich gerade jetzt, obwohl ich rot hatte, habe ich trotzdem Upload für eigentlich 97 MB. Ich sollte eigentlich keine Frames droppen. Also 97 MB ist jetzt nicht gerade wenig. Behaupte ich mal. Das sollte doch eigentlich reichen. Mein Download ist Pups. Also Pups. Im Vergleich Pups. Im Vergleich zu meinem Upload ist mein Download Pups. Der ist nur bei 25 MB. Jetzt gerade hat es sich aber wieder beruhigt. Sage ich und dann stirbst du bestimmt gleich wieder. Nee, gerade sitzt. Okay. Ich verstehe nichts. Mann, ey. Kann ich bitte einen eigenen Twitch-Server hier direkt bei mir haben? Dann weiß ich wenigstens, dass der dann kaputt ist. My Lord. Oh Gott. Oh gut. Gut. Oh, good. Another desperate situation. Okay. This is gonna be fun. Lassen wir mal wieder auf alles.
Hold it!
How can you say that for certain? Very good question, sir. And the answer is this. It has the noble founding principles of the force written on it as a reminder to all us policemen of our sworn duty. Duty? Duty. Nicht duty. Duty. Duty-free shop. He showed us that before, didn't he? Did he? I can't say I remember. To patrol the street of London town and uphold the peace of the common man, it's what the job's all about. And that is why I can stand here today beside my long-suffering wife and tell you a Bobby's good for his word. While rubbing my tired eyes, admittedly, sir. Ja, aber... Okay. Oh, Rolly, you're so manly. Yeah. Of course I am, my darling Patricia. Oh, Pat. Oh, Rolly. Smooch, smooch. No, none of this is what I meant. I meant, how can you say for certain that this case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Gorridev? Ah, I see, sir. You should have said so earlier, sir. Meine Güte. Yes, well. So, could you answer the question? That was a waste of time then. Absolutely, sir. I will answer it to the fullest of my ability, sir. There's a surprising reason why Mr. and Mrs. Gorridev's domestic dispute can't be related to this case. But before I get into that, sir, just one thing. Yes? I'd very much like you and all your countrymen to understand the great British institution of Scotland Yard. So I hope you'll take back some tales of us London bobbies and how we uphold our guiding principles. I wasn't planning on going back just yet. I've only just arrived here. So to that end, sir, I'll be happy to lend you my warrant card of your perusal. But I must warn you, you won't be able to get through it without shedding a few tears. Also. Thank you. I'll try. Constable Beats' warrant card has been entered into the court record. Ja, jetzt kann ich wieder nicht. Da droppe ich wieder Frames. Stop! Okay.
Hold it!
By which you mean they don't open fully, is that correct? Warte, ich kann jetzt kurz ins Code Record gucken. Ich nutze das aus. Principles of Policing. Gut. Item 1. A policeman will strive to preserve the place within his allotted beat. Item 2. A patrolling officer is expected to walk 20 miles around his beat every day for the furtherance of community relations. Oh, das sind andere. Metropolitan Police Regulations. Item 1. Any crimes fall under the jurisdiction of the beat in which they are discovered. Item 2. When a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. Okay. Okay, wirklich was anfangen? Damit kann ich jetzt gerade nicht. Okay. Yes, sir. They're just there to allow a bit of air through the house, you see? So, they're restricted as to how much they open. And therefore, anything thrown out of the window from inside the room would simply strike the pane and fall to the street, and directly below. For clarity, allow me to mark the map. Ja, wie ist denn das darüber gekommen? How? Damn it. Here is the location where objects would have fallen. Ay. Yes. Directly opposite the scene of the crime on the other side of the red-white road. Would have been so hard for somebody to mention this top-hinged casement thing before. Yes. Ja, hast doch nicht danach gefragt, ne? Well, I have another question for you, Constable. And what would that be, sir? How do you even know? Why would you have any idea what sort of window Mr. and Mrs. Gorydepp's house is furnished with? Ah, well, sir, that's very simple. You see, I helped with the investigation yesterday. Okay.
Excuse me.
Do you have something to add, Mrs. Speed? Sorry? You look, well, delighted. Is there some particular reason for that? Oh, I was just remembering, that's all. You really were so lucky. Die Musik. Ich komme auf die Musik nicht klar, what the fuck? Lucky? What do you mean? Well, of course, I feel terrible for the poor woman who was attacked. Don't misunderstand me, please. But we were just so lucky it didn't happen on Rolly Speed. It was so close, you see. Oh, I hadn't realized. Oh yes, that street, Briar Road, that's the boundary between Rolly Speed and the next one. Isn't that right, my love? Pension wieder. Gut. Er stimmt voll und ganz zu. Constable Beat. Oh Gott. Oh, yes, that's right. That's the reason I was helping out with interviewing the occupants of the Gorydepp household yesterday. The house is on my beat, you see, sir? Okay, was ist, wenn die einfach den Tatort geändert haben? Considering. Sie wollten, dass er, oder sie haben den Ort geändert, damit er Teil der Investigation wird. Deswegen haben sie den rübergebracht. Also sie. Was wäre zu logisch? Sie den Tatort ändern? Nee, sie dürfen das ja nicht. Could be. That really was cutting it close then. Constable, I wonder if you could clarify something. If the Gorydepp household is on your beat, does that mean that the pavement next to it is as well? Also Mr. Gorydepp's house? Yes, ma'am. The pavement on that side of the road is part of my beat. I see. I was unaware of that.
Just think, if the woman had been attacked just on the other side of Briar Road, we would never have been able to go for that meal to celebrate our wedding anniversary. But that's the life of a Bobby after all.
Extraordinary people are our Bobbies, tirelessly working for the benefit of all Londoners.
Do you know what I think? I think it was the good Lord's way of rewarding my Rolly for all his hard work. Don't you think so, my darling?
That must be it, pet, my love.
That must be it.
I think perhaps we should make sure we have that information officially on record.
Leave it to me, Mr. Naruhodo. I'll take care of it immediately.
Okay. Das heißt... Wo steht das jetzt? Wo steht das? Wo? Da? Nee. Wo steht das jetzt? Hä? Steht gar nirgendwo, hä? Okay, dann steht es halt nirgendwo, hä? Oder steht es oben? Ah, da oben steht es jetzt im Case-File, okay. Ups. Ich kann lesen. Ja, ich bin schlau. Hm.
And now it's my turn, I think.
Na dann. Ja, wenn ihr das
Hold it!
But according to my notes here, the sun had gone down already and it was dark.
Oh, but Rolly and I were strolling along, gazing at the night sky and looking for our lucky star.
Sorry?
The star that will guide us to eternal happiness.
Can it guide you to answer the questions?
Rionowska, please!
If a flaming book had cut across the sky in front of us, it would have lit up this like a shooting star.
And if I'd seen a shooting star, I would have made a wish upon it. Let Rolly and be an inspector, I would have said 3 times at least.
Of course. That with the smog and everything, we couldn't actually see any stars. In short, are you trying to say that neither a book nor a knife crossed the sky before you?
Yes, sir. That's correct, sir.
As sure as the night sky in London is starless, sir. I certainly seems like they're telling the truth.
And then we saw the poor woman fall onto the ground, so we went straight over to help her.
Okay.
Hold it!
So eine ähnliche Ding hatten wir auch schon. Yes, you said that you went to a nearby police box to fetch another officer, is that right?
That's right, sir. That's right, yes. If it had been on Rolly's beat, I would have known exactly where I was going, of course.
Don't feel bad, my love. You can't be expected to know the locations of every police box on every beat.
So Rolly told me to wait, only I sort of got a little lost in the way.
Patricia, my darling, that's why I love you. Your terrible sense of direction is bewitching to me. Oh, guys, ihr verläuft sich, wie cool!
Oh, Pat! Oh, Rolly!
Yeah, it's okay. Oh, please! Yeah, same, you know, it's good.
So, I suppose I was gone for about 15 minutes. But like I said, my Rolly was at the scene of the whole time, making sure nothing was disturbed.
I was off duty at the time, of course, but a true Bobby is never really off duty, sir. Und das ist der letzte.
Hold it!
So viel haben wir jetzt auch nicht rausbekommen, halt. Nothing to report.
That's correct, sir. I had my eyes wide open the entire time. Never looked away for a second. No one else approached the scene, and nothing was removed from it. I can swear to that on the yard's honor, sir.
Really? That seems a little strange.
Beg your pardon, sir. Strange, sir. Seems altogether regular to me.
This burnt copy of The Lion's Pride was originally in the Gary Depth's household. So the question remains, how did it find its way into the hand of the victim? Can you shed any light on that, seeing as you were at the scene of the crime the entire time?
Ah! Could it be a different copy, sir? One that just happened to be burnt as well?
Glaube ich nicht. Even if that were possible, why would the victim have been gripping a book like that in her hand? As you can see from this photographic print, she had a bag over her shoulder. Oh.
Well, sir, the book was in the lady's hand from the moment we arrived at the scene.
Is that so? There's something about the statement that's not sitting right with me. The two mysteries of how that knife ended up in her bag and how that book ended up in her hand. There must be some common thread between them.
Can I ask you something? Please, Mr. Lawyer, sir?
Oh, yes, of course. What is it?
You're doubting us, aren't you? I can tell.
What? I wasn't really... I mean, what's she doing? Muss ich gleich wieder die Leute überreden?
Please, just because I'm a woman, it doesn't make my testimony any less valuable.
Genau, das wollte ich sagen. Was?
You might just see me as the wife of a policeman, but I'm a woman of my word. I am.
I really don't remember ever suggesting that I doubted you.
No excuses. I don't want to hear it.
Oh Gott, nein, du kriegst mich schon wieder.
My voice will be heard. My lord, you let me speak, won't you?
Yes, Mrs. Speed. I will allow you to supplement your testimony if you so desire. Sometimes the path of least resistance is the sage one. That was a very loud mutter.
I heard that. That Japanese man thinks a policeman's wife's words count for nothing, does he? Well, watch out, sir. I might let you get away with something like that, but my Rolly won't.
Duly noted, Mr. Speed. Please, I humbly ask you to continue. Doch nochmal gleich Tee machen gehen, glaube ich.
What could she possibly be about to say, I wonder?
Machen wir jetzt kurz... Ich mache jetzt kurz Pause. Ich gehe mir kurz mal... Machen wir kurz eine Viertelstunde Pause. Ich merke halt noch, meine Stimme ist, glaube ich, immer noch ein bisschen eingeschlagen von letzter Woche. Letzte Woche ging es ja... Ich merke es immer noch ein bisschen. Mal kurz eine Redepause machen. Hoffen, dass es gleich wieder besser geht. Und dann kann ich vielleicht noch was essen gehen. Wenigstens habt ihr jetzt coole Musik, nicht gerade eine Stelle, wo es keine Musik hat. Aber dann würde ich sagen, wir sagen jetzt 40, dann machen wir 5 Uhr so. 5 Uhr bin ich wieder da. Machen wir kurze Pause. Dann sage ich mal, bis gleich. Bis später. See you later, Alligator. Fix. Meine Haare sind schon wieder so lang. Ich bin im Gesicht. Ach, im Gesicht. So. Mal gucken, dass wenn ich meinen Tee nicht aus Versehen bitter mache. Mit dir. Haare im Gesicht, ne? Song bei mir. Ich weiß nicht, ob das wäre. So, das ist jetzt der neue Satz, den sie gemacht hat, ne? Warte. Ein Stück wieder. Da ist jetzt das neue 5. Statement. Okay. Ich weiß, dass sie gesehen hat, aber es hat keinen Orientierungssinn. Ja, dann. Mal pressen. Was hat sie denn genau gesehen? Erklären Sie mir bitte, Fräulein Dame. Mrs. Speed, nobody is questioning what you've told us. I saw it. I did. That evening, I saw it clearly. That little Eastern man with the whiskers and the funny curved back, slinking away from the scene. And I know what I didn't see as well. I didn't see any flaming books or knives flying through the sky. All very clear. You also mentioned something about having a poor sense of direction. Oh, yes, well, that's a little embarrassing, really. I'm always ending up at the wrong place when I've made arrangements to meet Rolly. He gets ever so cross. Ja.
Excuse me.
Constable Beat, is there a problem? Da ist er eingepennt. No, sir. No problem, sir. Did your wife's remark just now bring something to mind, perhaps? Oh, well, in a way, sir. Yes, sir. I was just remembering that the same thing happened that evening is all. Okay. Did she? You mean Mrs. Speed lost her way on the night of the incident? Well, you see, I sent her off to find the police box in the next beat over from mine. But she was gone a fair bit longer than what I was expecting. I thought she'd be back inside 10 minutes, but my darling was gone for a good 15. Ja, 5 Minuten mehr, okay. Oh, Rolly, you're such a tease. But the reason I was so long was because of the bouquet, silly. Okay. The bouquet? The bouquet? The bouquet! Was für ein Bouquet? Sorry, what bouquet are you talking about? Oh, it was a present for our wedding anniversary. Rolly's so romantic. He saved up for it with farthings and pennies he found in the gutter while doing his rounds. Yes, how romantic. I'd forgotten all about it until just now. Had you, my darling? Ah! Oh, yes! But that was just between us. No talking about it to anyone else, darling. You have to promise... Aber warum?
Really? Oh.
What was that all about? Constable Beat looked very obviously troubled during that exchange.
I'm afraid I can't offer any useful insight, Mr. Naruhodo. But I'm quite sure of one thing. We have to ask Mrs. Beat about the bouquet.
Bouquet? Bouquet. Wir mögen Bouquet. Bouquet, Bouquet, Bouquet. Oh, ich sollte meinen Tee... Apropos Tee. Ich sollte meinen Tee wegnehmen. Bouquet Tee. Moment. Hä? Sonst wird der nämlich dann auch bitter. Oder sauer? Keine Ahnung. Ich weiß nicht, was passiert, wenn man einen Himbeertee zu lange drin lässt. Wird er dann bitter? Wird der bitter? Ich weiß es nicht. Ich möchte es auch nicht unbedingt ausprobieren. Ich mag bitter nicht. Bitter, I don't like. Ja. Und noch Honig reinlernen. Honig. Honey. Oh. Der Honig verwirrt mich übrigens, den ich gerade hier habe. Das ist irgendwie so halb, ist es so einer, der irgendwie ist es so halb kristallisiert. Aber nicht richtig. Das ist sehr interessant. Selbst der kristallisierte Teil ist sehr flüssig irgendwie. Ich weiß nicht, ich finde den komisch. Aber es schmeckt nach Honig. Wenn er dann aufhört wegzulaufen. Blöd, bitte. Hallo, ich versuche hier den rüber zu lernen. Was ist das für ein Honig? Das ist ein rumänischer Landhonig. Normalerweise habe ich meistens, wenn, dann Blütenhonig. Tatsächlich, aber wenn wir halt, das ist, glaube ich, war irgendwo ein... Was ist denn das? Kalt geschleudert. Ich habe keine Ahnung, was das bedeutet. Vermutlich irgendein Weihnachtsgeschenk von Firmen, die machen das ja gerne, ne? So Promo-Sachen. So, guck mal da, hier, bitte, weil wir für euch arbeiten dürfen. Da, nimmt den Scheiß. Ich glaube, so irgendwas sowas. Meine Nase hat auch keinen Bock. Moment, ich muss mal kurz meine Nase schneuzen. Okay. Und ich habe wieder viel zu... Oh, ich hasse das. Ich hasse das, wenn ich mich nicht entscheiden kann, ob ich zu warm oder zu kalt habe. Es ist so schlimm. Hiya. I'm ready. Ich hoffe, wir lösen den Fall. For Showdown. Mrs. Beach, this bouquet you just mentioned. I'd like you to add details about it to your testimony, please.
Oh, really? Yes, I'd love to.
Also, wer das für eine Relevanz hat, aber egal. Und dann Siegs denkt sich so:
The fuck?
What happened was I dropped my bouquet and ended up losing my way for a while. Okay.
Hold it!
You mean you dropped the bouquet at the scene of the crime?
Yes, that's right. Oh, I was upset. When we ran over and saw it was a woman with a knife in her back, I was so shocked I dropped the bouquet Rolly gave me. It was in a dark spot where the streetlights weren't casting any light, so I didn't notice at first.
And then you went to the police box to report it to the policeman whose beat it was on.
and I came back to the scene together with the other constable, you see. That's when I spotted my bouquet again. But the funny thing was, when I went to pick it up, I was nowhere near the victim's body at all.
Ja, warum denn wohl? Ja, also, das ergibt jetzt überhaupt gar keinen Sinn, ja? Okay. In case you need reminding, Mrs. Speed, the victim is not deceased.
I was all flustered for a moment before I heard a voice calling me from the other side of the road.
Oh no! Yes. Was? Was ist passiert? Ich habe keine Ahnung. Your husband, presumably?
That's right, silly me. I'd gone over the wrong side of the street. Although, I'm going to blame the bouquet this time. I can't think of how it got there. I really can't. So, the bouquet somehow moved from one side of Briar Road to the opposite.
Or did the body? Curious indeed.
Isn't it? But the worst of it is, I forgot to pick the bouquet up again when I left the scene. The beautiful rose Rolly bought me, with that change from the gutter he spent so long collecting.
By bouquet, do you perhaps mean this solitary rose? Hey.
Oh, yes, that's it. That's the bouquet Rolly bought me for our anniversary, with old bits of change he found in the gutter.
Maybe just call it a rose. Tell us, Lord Van Siegs, where did you come by the flower? Aber die ist jetzt wichtig. Zum Glück haben sie die aufgelesen. Ja. According to the report by the police officers in charge of the crime scene investigation, it was found on the edge of the pavement in front of the Gardip household. In front of the Gardip's house? Although, it wasn't noticed until the morning, as it lay there where the street lamps cast no light. It was believed to be of no relevance to the case, since it was found on the opposite side of the thoroughfare. Ja, das hast du verpasst. Also Patricia, die hatte eine Blume von Rolly bekommen. Und die hat sie fallen gelassen. Und dann ist sie zur Police-Station, um den anderen Typen zu holen. Als sie zurückgekommen ist sie aufgefallen, oh, ich habe eine Rose verloren. Und als sie die dann gesucht hat, war sie auf der anderen Seite der Straße. Die Rose lag nämlich auf der Seite von den Garideps. Aber der Körper war nicht mehr da. Ja, was ist da wohl passiert? Nein, nicht Patricia. Rolly ist das. What the fuck, Bayern? Nicht. Rolly ist das. Oh Gott.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. Could I have it back now, please?
Nein, das ist Evidence. Mit einem L. No, I think for good measure, this rose should be added to the court record as evidence. Das Mond scheint auf das Abflussrohr. Das kommt mir sehr verdächtig vor. Nur, dass sie nichts gesehen haben, halt dunkel, aber...
Oh.
Yay? Ja gut, jetzt? Wie beweisen wir jetzt, dass das Rolly...
But it's a symbol of our love. I want it back after the trial. Do you hear me? I want it back.
Good grief. Rest assured that I shall do my best, my very best, not to forget, Mrs. Speed. Und jetzt? Aber ihm ist das nicht aufgefallen. Es müsste mir aufgefallen sein, dass sie das fallen lassen hat. Okay. Ich hoffe, das ist richtig. Kann ich das noch genauer angucken? Irgendwas angucken dabei? Zum Papier eingefügt. Can't find anything out of place. It's very stylish paper the flowers wrapped in, isn't it? It's just an old newspaper, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh. I suppose it's because I'm not used to seeing English print. It looks so exotic to me. Ah, I see. Is something wrong? Oh, no. I was just thinking that if you wrap the stone-baked sweet potato in English newspaper, it might look like some sort of fancy cake. Ah, Susato-san, you do love your cakes. It's all fancy paper. Das ist Zeitung. Rose. Wie kann ich die Rose angucken? Eine Rose.
An English rose. It's such a beautiful flower.
This is a rose, is it? I've never seen one before.
Do you not take an interest in flowers, Mr. Naruhodo?
I wouldn't say that exactly, but I do know 3 types at least.
Gosh, 3?
Yes, plum blossom, peach blossom, and cherry blossom.
Alter! Rionowski, what the f—
Good.
Perhaps you should consider branching out. Learn something that aren't fruit tree based, for example.
Okay, aber es scheint sonst hier nichts zu sein, ha? Da ist jemand abgestochen worden, okay. Ist eine Blume. Ich bin zurück. B! Danke. I didn't take the eye of the scene. A present for Patricia Beat from the husband drawn. Shock of seeing the stabbed victim caused Mrs. Beat to drop the rose where she stood. Page! Ich hoffe, das ist richtig. You claim, Constable Beat, there was nothing to report in the 15 or so minutes you were guarding the scene. But that can't be. Also, einfach, dass es ihm nicht aufgefallen wäre, ist weird.
What do you mean to say?
In your testimony just now, Mrs. Beat, you explained to the court that when you arrived back at the scene of the crime with the policeman assigned to that beat, the bouquet you had dropped at the victim's side was no longer anywhere nearby.
Objection!
Yes, on the opposite side of Barrier Road to where the victim was attacked. But considering the size of that meager bouquet, if a single sorry bloom can be so described, no doubt it was blown in the wind across the street, back into the gutter where it belongs. Hey, rude.
Meager?
Objection!
But if that were the case, why did Constable Beat not testify to the fact? Tja, da kannst du auch nichts mehr zu sagen, ne? Ja, so sieht's aus.
No one else approached the scene and nothing was removed from it. Constable Beat swore to that on Scotland Yard's honor. The bouquet belonged to me. It has nothing to do with the case. That's why Rowley didn't mention it, I'm sure.
I'm not sure about that, to be honest. No, because sadly, it's not only your bouquet we're talking about here. More than one thing in the case is mysteriously the wrong way around. What are you talking about? Tja, man sieht's, ne? Think about it. Besides Mrs. Beat's bouquet, there's Mr. Gorydepp's book. Mr. Gorydepp's copy of The Lion's Pride, which was thrown out the window by his wife. Yeah, ist pissed. Would have struck the pane of the casement window and landed here, on the west side of the street. And yet, it was actually found here, on the opposite side of the road in the victim's hand. Meanwhile, according to the testimony we've heard, Mrs. Bede's bouquet should have been dropped here at the scene of the crime, on the east side of the street. But in fact, it was actually found here, on the opposite side of the road, in front of Mr. and Mrs. Gorydepp's house. Tja, jetzt, ne? There's no logical explanation for those things. Unless somebody deliberately moved them. Tja. What are you trying to say? The way you're talking, it sounds like you think my Rolly's done something wrong. Don't you listen to a word that scrawny lawyer says. Wittering on about books and bouquets? Why should we care? It's nitpicking, that's what it is. Oh god. Mrs. Gorydepp's come around. You might call it nitpicking, Mrs. Gorydepp. But deliberately meddling with the scene of a crime is a criminal offense. It's called, tampering, Mr. Naruhodo. Temperate! Warum wird damit getempert? Könnte ich tun. But the person responsible for this tampering cannot admit to it. For a very subtle but compelling reason.
Objection!
Now we're getting at it. Tampering? You've barely heard the term before. Tell us, my learned friend, who would possibly have had cause to carry out such an elaborate deception? Es kann nur Rolly gewesen sein. Es tut mir leid, aber es war 100%. Es war Rolly. Es war doch Rolly. Er wollte doch nur so einen freien Abend haben mit seiner Frau. Yes, there's someone who tampered with the scene of the crime that evening. All the evidence and all the testimony points to that one particular person. Counsel, I must demand that you substantiate this conjecture. Who are you saying is responsible for tampering with the scene of the crime? Susato war... Okay, nee. Da, Gregson, okay. Der, nee, okay. Da, was bestimmt. Sie selber, klar. Es war Rolly. Das ist die einzige logische Erklärung. Es war Rolly.
Take that!
Scholms, ja, es bestimmt Scholms. Obviously, there's only one person it could have been. Constable Rolly Bede, it was you. Damn! Musik. Ich glaube, es war richtig. Musik ist voll ab. Ich glaube, es war richtig. What? A policeman? A member of Scotland Yard? What nonsense! Why would my Rolly do something like that? There's no one straighter than my husband. No Bobby works more tirelessly for the people of London. Mrs. Bede, you said in your testimony that your husband asked you to go to a nearby police box to fetch the officer on duty. The 15 minutes that you were absent from the scene is the only opportunity anyone had to tamper with it. You're making it up? It's all nonsense. It's all lies. What about that Japanese man with the whiskers? I bet it was him. He did it.
Objection!
If that was true, Constable Bede would have seen him do it. Oh. And forgive me for pointing it out, but when you dropped your bouquet, Mrs. Bede, it was after the defendant had fled the scene. Well.
Objection!
Uh-oh. First, you make accusations about the landlord and his wife, and now you incriminate the policeman as well. Der Materia ist verschwunden. Ja, kenn ich. But your accusations lack one important thing. Und zwar? You claim the crime scene was tampered with. Hä? Bei mir ist sie da. Siehst du im Chat, bei mir ist sie da. But there is only one reason anyone would commit such a reckless crime. To hide something. Nee, aber hast du freien Abend?
That's right. He's right. But my husband and I just happened to be there, that's all. So why would we have anything to hide? It doesn't make sense.
You've offered no motive for this alleged tampering. And until you do, your accusations are nothing but empty threats. Oh, I have. Constable Beat had a very good reason for wanting to tamper with the scene of the crime. That's the key to this entire affair.
Mr. Naruhodo, have you managed to solve this mystery?
Das ist ziemlich klar. Counsel, you have made a very serious accusation against a London police officer. If you are mistaken, I'm sure I need not point out that your reputation as a lawyer will be irrevocably damaged. With that stark warning in mind, you will now explain to the court the motive for this alleged tampering. Yes, my lord. Oh, I know. Constable Beat's motive for tampering with the crime scene was to hide where the victim fell. Right? Buch und Bouquet sind scheißegal. Das ist eigentlich Punkt, das Opfer wurde gemoved. Oh Gott, Internet, nein, stopp. Nicht Frames drop, okay. Where the victim fell to the ground. That is what this Bobby had to cover up at all costs. What? Where the victim fell? You mean where she was attacked? What are you talking about? We told you at the very start, didn't we? On the pavement of Briar Road. We saw it happen, remember? It was right here, as if anyone didn't already know. That's certainly what everybody has been led to believe. But in fact, that isn't where the victim was stabbed at all.
What? What?
Weißt du, aber auch das Messer im Rücken ist. Wenn das Buch als erstes geflogen kam, hat sie sich runtergebeugt, um das Buch aufzulesen, und in dem Moment ist mutig das Messer geflogen gekommen. Ja. I'm beginning to wonder where this tumultuous trial will end, Counsel. Oh, sie hat keinen Bock. If that's your assertion, then the court is dying to know, my Nipponese friend. Where are you proposing that the crime actually took place that evening? Hier. Da. Right? But falscher Knopf. Ups. Falscher Knopf. But that's on the opposite side of the road. I don't understand. On the evening in question, Mr. Garidep's book fell directly down from the open window above. And your bouquet, Mrs. Beach, never moved at all. What did move was the scene of the crime itself. Oh, damn! Good gracious! Tja. Wurde die gekriegt. Perhaps you haven't been listening to the ample testimony of the court has heard. But these witnesses both saw the moment the attack took place. That's right! I saw it with my own eyes! It was 5 o'clock in the evening and already dark. There was the typical London fog on the ground. When you saw the incident unfold, and ran to the victim's aid. That was actually on the west side of Briar Road.
No, that's not true. It can't have been.
Constable B then arranged for you to be absent for a while by sending you for help. And during the 15 minutes you were away, he transplanted this crime scene. He moved all the things shown in this print, the victim herself, the 4 books. He moved everything, in fact, to the pavement on the east side of Briar Road. Extraordinary. But the constable overlooked one thing.
What? What did he overlook?
The bouquet, I presume. Alter, Six ist so done mit uns, ne? Es tut mir leid. I'm sorry, man, Six. Exactly.
The prosecution told the court just a few minutes ago about the discovery of the rose bouquet.
Not when Zeke said it wasn't noticed until the morning, as it led where the street lamps cast no light. Yes, it couldn't be seen in the dark, obviously. Which is why it was only the bouquet that was found in its original position on the pavement on the west side of Briar Road. And that is the defense theory about what really happened that evening. How do you respond? Constable Rowley Beat. Ja, der ist jetzt Beat. Den haben wir bieten. Ha! Okay. Warte, ich nehme mal kurz. Schluck Tee. Ha, so viel reden. Tja, was sagst du dazu?
Well, I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to nod off again, but I haven't slept properly in a month.
Did I miss anything important? Kann ich ihn erwürgen, bitte?
Oh, Rowley. It isn't true, is it? What the lawyer said, it is all lies, isn't it? And now it is, because you're the most upstanding, righteous man I know.
Oh no, he's not. I had a dream. I had a dream that one day. Okay, nee, lass mal das. A terrible dream.
All the things I did that night.
Everything come out. Everything exposed. Ja, was genau war exposed? Kannst du das genauer erklären? Siehst auch so. Only it seems it wasn't a dream at all. Good goalie! Der Judge kann auch nicht mehr. Der ist so, oh, what's going on? Order! 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 What on earth is the meaning of all this?
Oh, Rowley, why? Why would you do something like this? Moving a corpse is a criminal offense, isn't it?
It's not a corpse. Wishing the victim dead should be one too. Constable, explain yourself. Why would you do this? As a respected member of Scotland Yard, your duty is to protect the good people of London Town. Ich glaube, wir gehen gerade aufs Ende zu von dem Fall, ne?
I can say that. Say so?
What?
I really am ever so sorry about all this. For damaging the Yard's reputation, for everything.
I have a possible explanation. For why on that particular evening, Constable Beat felt compelled to move the scene of the crime. Und zwar wegen seinem Bereich. I can think of one reason. What? How could you possibly know? You, a foreigner, presuming to understand the mind of a Scotland Yard policeman. And yet, Lord Van Zieks, it is this foreigner who has uncovered the startling truth of the matter thus far. Haha! Okay. I believe it would be beneficial to the court to hear this extraordinary young lawyer's theory. Counsel for the defense, if you please. Yes, my lord. Now then, I think you had better show us some evidence. At once, my lord. England, Japan. It makes no difference where you come from. Human emotions are the same. And I think I have a fairly good idea of the feelings behind this man's actions. What gives away the motive for Constable Bede's unthinkable actions? Das da? Warte. 20 miles to be evident. Ich glaube, auf der Seite was da. Da. Any crimes fall under the jurisdiction of the beat in which they are discovered. When a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. Ich glaube, das ist halt der Punkt.
Take that!
I realize that I am a foreigner in this land, and I have only just arrived from Japan. Which is why all this information about London's so-called bobbies is completely new to me. I've learned that through honorable patrolling the beat is the most demanding work in the world, for example. Keep the pace, looking after the citizen on his beat in all kinds of ways. There's no doubt that the young Bobby is charged with a great deal to do each day, certainly. But for Constable Bede, the day in question was special. Special? How? Ja, es war nicht voll smart. Ja, mega. On account of this bouquet, my lord. Oh yes! It was our very first wedding anniversary. Da hat Physics auch nicht mehr zu sagen, eh? Constable Bede had worked so hard to be able to afford this simple gift for his wife, and was so looking forward to taking her out for a celebratory meal. When he and Mrs. Bede stumbled upon a crime along Briar Road. When he saw that shadowy figure through the fog collapse on the pavement ahead of them, what must have gone through the man's mind? Ich hoffe, das ist er. Musik ist so gut. Ah, ich liebe die Musik. This is the warrant card that Constable Bede offered to lend to me earlier. Inside, among the rules for patrolling policemen, it says, when a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. Aha! Der Judge hat's auch rausgefunden. Ja, Judge ist auch smart! Constable Bede. Der ist jetzt Bede. We've beaten Constable Bede. Is that not the reason why you moved the whole scene of the crime that day? Yes. Everything you said, it's alright. So that's it. It was all to do with the boundary of your beat. Oh! Exactly. To summarize, the incident actually occurred on Constable Bede's beat. Good gracious! Constable,
Do you realize the gravity of what you have done? It was the first time since I became a copper that I'd ever cursed God. Stay close to me, Pat. The criminal could still be lurking somewhere. As we ran over to the scene, I had every intention of doing my duty as a police officer. We've got to report this to the station as quickly as possible. But then it dawned on me. I realized where we were, where the victim was lying, and what that meant for me. When a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. Why here? Why did this have to happen here? And why tonight? Of all nights? Why?
Yo.
It's a copper's job to guard the scene of the crime, so I told Pat she'd have to go to the nearest police box and fetch whoever was on duty there. It was then, when I opened my mouth to speak. It just came out. I couldn't believe the words that were coming out of my mouth. This is the next beat to mine, Pat. So you'll have to go to the police box that covers it. Turn right along Meerschaum Street and then...
Ja. Sheesh. Sheesh. Ah, damn. Darauf erstmal einen Schluck Tee. Oh no! Don't cry! No. I'm... Oh no. Ah, the tears. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh no. Sato, don't cry.
Oh, Constable. I just wanted, just that one night, to take my Patricia out for dinner.
Oh no, my fears!
Oh, Rolly. Just that one night.
Oh. Ja, das Scotland Yard kann sich auch nicht verlassen. Oh. Hast du keine Gefühle, Bayern? Zeig mal Mitgefühl. Oh. You knew that if the incident was on your beat, your evening of celebration would be ruined. And so you decided to move the entire crime scene outside your jurisdiction. Just across the street to the east pavement of Briar Road, which falls under the neighboring Beat's care. Warte! Oh, Rolling.
You see, I thought... Well, I was sure the victim was dead, you see.
Ja, willkommen zum Harry Potter... Nein, warte, Moment, falsch. Das ist nicht der Harry Podcast. Ja, ich bin Podcast. I beg your pardon.
Oh, of course he did. Otherwise, my Rolly would never have left the poor woman on the freezing cold pavement.
Jetzt müssen wir noch Erklärung... keine Ahnung, weiß ich nicht. Brauchen wir wegen was in der Erklärung? Eigentlich haben wir jetzt alles rausgefunden. Ah, I see your meaning now.
But God got me back for my sins, didn't he? That's why I missed the rose I bought for Pat. Oh no, Rolly! That was all my fault! I should never have dropped it in such a dark place. I'm so sorry, Rolly.
Ja, gut. Mhm.
And can you tell us, Constable? How many books did you move from the one side of the road to the other in total?
Hmm?
4 it was. Yes, sir. Definitely 4. 3 of them dropped by Mr. Natsume, and the 4th being the one that fell from the window upstairs in the Garidept household, of course. But what made you place that book in the victim's hand? When all the others were scattered, ich kann das Wort nicht sprechen, fuck me. Englisch macht meinen Mund kaputt. Nein, wollte er nicht, Bayern. Er wollte kein Held sein, er wollte legit einen freien Abend mit freier Frau genießen. Das hat nichts mit dem Held zu tun. I mean... Oh, well, sir. That's because... That's how I found it. Der Grund, warum das Messer im Rücken war, weil sie sich gebeugt hat, habe ich vorher gesagt. How you found it? What do you mean? Stimme nicht sterben, bitte, danke. Ah! When we first ran over to the scene, the victim was already holding the book. So, when I moved everything, I'm not sure it was still in her hand. You're sure it was this book, The Lion's Pride, that the victim was holding? Oh yes, sir. No doubt about it, sir. Interesting. The 4th book information has been updated in the court record. Okay, da steht jetzt Lion was in the victim's hand when Mrs. Bede first ran over to see what had happened. Okay. 20 Kilometer, 20 Meilen jeden Tag. Das sind, glaube ich, 17 Kilometer, haben wir gesagt. Irgendwie so, keine Ahnung. I thought it was an open and shut case at the time, you see. There were only 2 people at the scene, and Pat and me both saw it happen. However, which way you looked at it, it had to be the fellow who ran off who'd done it, I thought. What? Okay. I couldn't see the harm, really. I didn't think moving it all over the road would make a jot of difference. I suppose this is it for me now. I've had it. ...32 Kilometer. My lord. Yes, Lord Van Siegs. I believe that concludes the cross-examination of the witnesses. Constable, you may withdraw. Yes, sir! Mr. Prosecutor, sir. What will become of my Rolly? What will happen to him? Er wird geschmissen. Ha! Keine Ahnung, weißt du nicht. For now, you are free to go home. The police will contact you in due course. Please, don't punish my husband. This was all my fault. It's because I'm always moaning at him for coming home late. Leave it now, Pat. Let's go home. I'm tired. Oh no. I feel sorry. All right then, my love. One last thing, Constable. Sir? Let this be a lesson to you. In a criminal investigation, every detail matters, however insignificant it may seem to you. Yes, sir. Carve that lesson in your mind. And never again make the mistake of tampering with the scene of a crime. Damn! Huh? Never again, sir? You mean to say... Leave. Now, this trial is not yet over. Geil. Sir!
Nice. Van Siegs hat ein Herz, Leute. Er ist voll nett. Basic hat gesagt, du wirst nicht geschmissen. Du hast nur einmal verkackt. Du Strike One. Aber es gibt nur 2. Verstehst du? So. Es gibt nur 2 Strikes. Aber im Basic hat er gerade nur von der Verwarnung gegeben und gesagt, mach nie wieder so einen Scheiß. Finde ich nice. Oh, Van Siegs. He's not that bad of a guy. Well, quite a startling revelation, I must say. Whoever thought of a third party transplanting the entire scene of a crime like that? Ja, er ist kein kaltloser Herzmensch. Sorry, Baron, der musste sein. Indeed, my lord. Nevertheless, there are some immutable facts here, principally. That the accused, Mr. Soseki Natsume, is the only person who could possibly have committed this crime.
Objection!
Stimmt nicht. No, I disagree. Now that we know the true scene of the incident, there is someone else. Another person who could be responsible for the knife in the victim's back. Forgive me for being presumptuous, but I believe the prosecution is probably well aware of this possibility already. Lord Van Siegs, is it true? Ah. Very well. Name the person, if you will, and if further investigation is warranted. The prosecution has no objection to the trial continuing. Yeah. You will name this other person who could have perpetrated the crime. Es tut mir leid. Joanne. I'm sorry, but it was Joanne!
Take that!
Nice one. The defense would once again like to request the cross-examination of a new witness, my lord. Once again? My assistant made the same request earlier. In order to finally reveal the truth about this case. It's imperative that we cross-examine juror number 4, Mrs. Joanne Gorideb. Me? Me? Oh, dearie me.
Objection!
Junge, Van Siegs, stop it! That request has already been denied. Ja, nur weil wir eine andere Witness haben. But the situation is different now. Mrs. Gorideb, answer me this. What do you want now, you little toad? Hey! That's rude. At the time of the incident, you were engaged in a violent argument with your husband, Mr. John Gorideb. In the course of the argument, a minor house fire was ignited. And to clear the smoke from the room, your husband opened a window that looks out over Briar Road. Well, what of it? You threw this book at your husband when he was cornered with his back against the window. Upon striking the pane of the open, top-hinged casement window, the book plumped directly down, finding its way to what we now know to be the true scene of the incident. Yes, and as I said, what of it? During the argument, you were beside yourself with rage. As such, you threw not just books, but anything you could lay your hands on. So, let me ask you one more time, Mrs. Gorideb. This knife, the one removed from the victim's back, have you really never laid your eyes on it before? Oh. Yeah. I don't recall it. Seriously? Am I supposed to remember everything I pick up and threw at my husband? And anyway,
The man over there in all that regalia said members of the jury needn't testify, didn't he?
Conveniently, yes.
Objection!
No. I have no recollection of saying that at all, Juror number 4. Ey! 6 ist auf unserer Seite. Nice. Oh. Make no mistake. You jurors are not special in any way. You are not immune to the judicial process. If you know something about this knife, madam, let the truth come out. But that's just a common or garden knife. It could have come from anywhere. We have several like that at home. If one went missing, how would you expect me to know? What's that? You're joking? What are you saying, please, Mrs. Gorydepp? This is a gardening knife. Wer sagt das? Now you listen to me. Na gut, sowas von. I refuse to believe that all this nonsense. I couldn't bear the thought that I'd injured someone. Do you hear? I couldn't bear it. Oh, the poor woman. So, yes, I want evidence. I want to see hard evidence if you're going to insist on this being my fault. Oh, Scheiße, haben wir irgendwas? Haben wir evidence? Okay. You're going to have to prove to me that I threw that knife in if that's what you think. Come along now. Chop chop. Do your worst. Well. Habe ich evidence? Well, Mr. Naruhodo, if I had evidence like that, believe me, I would have thrown it at her already. And then take the stand, you raw. Oh? The prosecution does not object to the defense request to cross-examine this woman. Thank you, Lord Van Zieks. I'm going to have to testify. Juror number 4. As I'm sure you will appreciate, having observed it with your own eyes today. Witness testimony can lead to the most extraordinary truths being unearthed. Truths of which the witnesses themselves may not even have been aware. Oh, dearie me. So, I demand your full and unadulterated testimony, Mrs. Gorydepp. And mark my words, in this court of law today, we shall extract the truth. Do you encore, counsels? Certainly, my lord. Oh, that's what I'm hoping for, my lord. Oh, die Musik!
Die Musik. Oh, ist die geil.
Yeah, Musik. This is such a strange feeling. For the first time since arriving in this country, it actually feels real. Die Musik! Es tut mir leid. Oh, die ist so gut. Oh, so gut. I love it. I'm here in the Old Bailey and I'm a lawyer. Oh, das ist ein cooler Shot. Nice. Hello, Joanne. Witness. State your name and occupation.
Oh, yes. My name is Joanne Gorydepp. And I'm, well, I'm a juror and such like.
Awesome. Sounds like even she doesn't know if she's a housewife or a maid or what anymore. The court has decided your testimony is required in order to clarify matters in this case. Do you understand, madam?
Yes, my lord.
you will tell the court everything that took place in your household on the evening in question. And I warn you, do not attempt to hide the truth.
Oh, dearie me.
Oh no, she's shaky!
Shaky, 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 shaky.
Shut up, Swain. Nothing to worry about now. Oh!
Oh, I didn't know you were here, John.
Hey! Wasn't only you in the room that day, old thing, was it? Rather think I ought to testify as well, don't you?
But what about your knee, dear?
Oh, that was somehow cute. Don't you worry about that. Hardly notice it. Dann fällt auf den Boden oder so. I'm not the sort of chap to leave a comrade to face disciplinary actions alone.
Oh, John.
Oh, that's cute. Falsche Stimme. I presume you are Mr. John Garrideb? Yes, sir. Former second lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment of the 4th Northumberland Fusiliers, sir. Oh god damn it, was das für ein Titel? Seen my fair share of action and now living the quiet life, as it were. The quiet life? Were you not engaged in an incendiary battle with your spouse on the day in question? Well, yes, quite. Oh, oops. I believe this may represent the first in the proud history of the British court. Calling a juror to the witness stand is unprecedented. However, the court will hear your testimony now, juror number 4, and that of your husband. You will recount clearly and concisely the events in your home at the time of the incident in question. Sir, at once! Nice. Ist ein nicer Titel. The Battle of Garrideb. Das ist mal ein Fight, Leute. Das ist der Fight. Der einzig wahre Fight. Yes, on the day you're referring to, the wife and I did have a bit of a skirmish. Can't recall the reason now. Knocked your candlestick over and set fire to the carpet. Soon headed out, though, and got the window open.
Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at him.
Plenty of knives around the place. Can't say I'd noticed if 1 or 2 went missing, I'm afraid. If that belly thing in the victim's back really was one of ours, you'll have a job proving it, I think. Fingerabdrücke haben immer noch nicht. F. Aber wie beweisen wir das denn? It sounds as though it was quite the battlefield in your house that evening. Although, an entirely one-sided assault it seems. The enemy caught us on the hop, sir. Had no choice but to dig in and take defensive measures. To be honest, if the enemy had kept shelling us for another minute, we'd have been lost toast. Oh. Nice. Of course, a veteran such as myself is only too aware that on every battlefield, you're just the gnat's whiskers from death at any moment.
Are we still talking about Marshal Quarrel here?
Well, I must say, I'm dubious that this testimony will shed any light on the origins of this jackknife. In combat, one's focus narrows such that surroundings are barely noticed. These witnesses may not be able to offer anything more than they have testified already. This may be a dead end. Zix may well be right.
Well, whatever the chances, We only have this last cross-examination to uncover the truth, Mr. Naruhodo.
Okay, das ist wirklich letzte. Okay. Yes, I'm afraid so. Very well, counsel. Now bring your cross-examination. Okay. Okay. Ist das wichtig? Ich meine, ich weiß die Reason. The reason is what you told us yesterday, I believe.
Yes, that's right. If I remember correctly, it all started because of a note that was tucked into the pages of a book belonging to Mr. Gorideb.
A rather passionate note, in fact. But Mrs. Gorideb found the note, discovering her husband's little secret.
And she gave him a mighty number of slaps across the face for it too.
What a sordid state of affairs. Hell on earth. I say, when a chap says he can't recall such things, it's common decency not to drag it all up. Sorry. And besides, half of it was wide of the mark anyway.
A likely story.
These waters run very deep. And what transpired next after these multiple blows to the face? Ja. Okay, das beweist ja nur, dass er das Window open hatte, ja. Weiß er, dass sie das Buch geschmissen hat? Nee, er war da, oder? Weiß er wirklich, was zu machen.
Hold it!
Even though the room was on fire, as far as I was concerned at the time, it was more important to extinguish my anger than the flames. When a woman wants to throw, she must throw! Oh, okay, then throw the stuff, I guess.
That is most certainly not true to a Susato takedown, Mr. Naruhodo.
How did she know I was thinking that? So, please, cast your mind back to try to remember. Was a knife among the items that you threw at your husband that day?
In all honesty, I don't recall. But I feel I must point out that I'm no monster. Let me see. Some bread, a cabbage, garlic, a towel, and a sponge, a napkin.
A napkin? Ja, was hast du zu sagen?
Excuse me.
Do we have something to add, sir? Mr. Gorideb. Don't shoot! Ah, sorry. I beg your pardon. Did your wife's remark just now bring something to mind? Nothing of any significance, no. Just that the barrage of projectiles the old thing launched it in my direction was somewhat more solid than she implies. Books, bricks, the fire poker, I seem to recall. Ouch. And a woman's... Oh no! And a woman's aim is uncanny. Ah! Good grief, woman! We're not at home now. This is a court of law. Oh, dearie me. I'm so sorry, dear. What's she even doing with a teapot in here? Gute Frage. Einfach in die Pfeife gelernt, ja. Die Pfeife ist jetzt voll mit Tee. Sorry. Honestly, John, I would never have thrown such things at you, obviously. Sure. Well, sorry. Well, take a look at this then. How do you suppose that happened? Ah, die Pfeife ist gebrochen. Your pipe, sir? Had this thing in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. Knocked it clean out of with one of her soft projectiles, she did, yes. Oh. Good. Ha.
And when I went to pick the thing up, it was broken in two. I'd like to see a sponge do that sort of damage. I see, your pipe was broken. I would never have been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Anyway, I've managed to bandage the thing up for now. We are one to exaggerate, aren't you, dear? I wonder what we should make of this account.
Ich meine, es implied, dass sie nicht weiche Sachen wirft. Von dem her würde ich sagen, das ist important.
The defense believes Mr. Gorydepp's remarks just now. Remarks just now to be of great significance.
Objection!
This war veteran's words only tell us one thing. Betrayer fiery wife and pipes as well as hearts may be broken. Sentimental wisdom, perhaps, but hardly worthy of adding to the formal testimony. Indeed. Common sense, one might say. Might one? In that case, would you at least permit us to examine the pipe, sir?
Well, I don't see why not.
Oh, dearie me. There you go again, trying to ingratiate yourself with a young lady.
What the fuck, Joanne? Jetzt wieder mit Bild. Hallo. Ich bin da. Hi.
Very well. The court will accept the gentleman's pipe as evidence.
Ein Pipe. Eins Pipe. Kann ich eins Pipe angucken?
I hope I didn't speak out of turn, Mr. Naruhodo.
Ja, nee, warte schon. Geh mal kurz gucken.
Aha! Wie?
Wie ist das keinem aufgefallen? What?
Oh, something just twinkled inside the chamber of the pipe there. Yes! I saw it!
He wants to give her his pipe. Oh.
Something stuck in there, I think. Let's turn it open and give it a shake. What's this? What's this? What's this?
Okay, lass mir das.
Scherbe? Nein. Scherbe? Nein, das ist doch die Messerspitze. What?
Scherbe.
Du bist eine Scherbe.
Schmerbe.
Du bist eine Schmerbe. Du bist Fisch. It's a tiny fragment of metal. It looks like the tip of a blade or something. The tip of a blade? Surely it couldn't be.
Yo. Okay, kann ich gucken, ob das zusammenpasst? Ja, ist halt kaputt da, I guess. Pipe. Warte, ich dreh's um. Okay. Das ist Messerspitze.
This is the tiny piece of metal we found in the chamber of Mr. Gorydepp's pipe. It looks like the tip of a blade or something. The tip of a blade? Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? I don't really know. It's just something niggling me, but I can't quite put my finger on what it is. Perhaps in that case, it would be wise to examine some of the other pieces of evidence again.
Okay. Messer. Tell me! Is this the same? Sure looks like it.
Oh, look here, Mr. Naruto.
Mr. Naruhodo, just at a tip. A small piece of the blade appears to be missing. Ja, das haben wir vorher schon rausgefunden. Wait. Part of it's missing? I could be wrong, but I've just got a feeling. You remember this? Ah, that's the tiny fragment of metal we found inside Mr. Goridep's pipe. Yes, and just maybe. Oh my, it's a perfect fit. Somehow I just knew. Gut. The tip of which was broken off and was found inside Mr. Goridep's pipe bowl. I was just feeling rather disappointed for you that your request was turned down. Oh no, it's fine. Thanks to Susato-san, we have some new evidence to work with. We should examine it carefully. I already did. Thank you. Well, thank you for that rebuttal, Mr. Goridep. Now if we could return to the crux of the matter. What can you tell the court about the knife used to attack the victim? Oh, ja, okay. You have my job of proving. Muss ich die Pipe oder muss ich die Messerspitze? Ich schätze mal Messerspitze. Messerspitze. Messerspitze, Messerspitze. Messerspitze. Oh nein, falscher Knopf. Ups, ich will X. Ups, da.
Objection!
Aber die Pipe präsentiert. Da, Pipe! Nee, aber da, das hier. Messerspitze war bei ihm. Mr. Goridep. Aber was das Gute ist, die Messerspitze ist doch nicht im Victim drin. Das ist schön. Ich hatte nämlich Angst, dass die Messerspitze noch im Rücken der Frau wäre. Wissen wir nicht zum Glück. Das ist schön. Could I ask you to take a good look at this, please? You can ask, but I can't see a bloody thing. You can't? You must call me Dead-Eye Depp. Back in the regiment, of course. But that was some time ago now. Even when I'm trying to enjoy a large print book by the fire these days. I struggle to tell a B from a D and a P from a Q, to be honest. For the B to the D. Okay, lass mal so. Oh, he does. Dearie me. It's rather worrying being asked about every other letter and every other word. You must be very dizzy. Janoske, please! What the fuck? What is that? A tiny scrap of metal? Yes, almost certainly from the tip of a blade. And what may appear at first to be just a tiny scrap is in fact a crucial piece of evidence. Interesting. And where did the defense come by this evidence? It was lodged in the chamber of Mr. Goridep's pipe. The pipe, you say? By Jove! I wonder how that got there. And what precisely does this fragment of metal signify, Counsel? Are you suggesting that it is in some way related to the matter of the stabbing on Briar Road? The stabbing of Briar Road. Okay. I am. What? When put together with another piece of evidence already in the court record, I believe this tiny fragment of metal will unravel the whole truth of this case, my lord. Sein Arsch ist auch burnt! Habt ihr gerade den Arsch von Ding gesehen? Da ist Feuer, da war Feuer. Sein Mantel ist hinten verbrannt am Arsch. Wie gut. Nice. Oh, herrlich. You appear rather confident in an extraordinary statement, Counsel. Very well then. Present the pertinent evidence to the court. Ja, das ist das Messer. What evidence, when paired with this fragment of metal, allegedly reveals the truth of this entire case? Messer.
Take that!
This is the knife that was found in the victim's back. If you look closely, you will see that there is a small piece at the tip of the blade that is missing. A common issue with the inferior blades sold at unsavory street markets. Criminals who use them regularly leave the tips lodged in their victims' bones. And what of this particular knife? No doubt. Its tip has suffered a similar fate, now languishing somewhere near the spine of the victim.
Objection!
No, that's not the case. The tip of this particular knife's blade is the very fragment of metal we discovered in the chamber of Mr. Gory Depp's pipe. He shot him! Good grief! Lord von Siegs! Erstmal abgeschossen. Nice move. My heart! So killt man also diese komischen Vampire in England. Man besiegt sie in Court. Okay, lassen wir das. I don't believe it. The knife from the crime scene and this fragment of metal are a perfect match. Oh, nicht so böse. Good golly gosh. I don't know. Ich hoffe, man hat es gesagt. Order! 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 Is this some sort of Eastern sorcery? Ja, klar. Magie. This is no magic, my lord. This is a miracle. Soll sich die Weiber aus meiner Scheibe voll abschneiden? Yes. A miracle? So Von Siegs has figured it out, has he? Counsel, explain this extraordinary coincidence at once. Yes, my lord. The crucial point we have to ask ourselves here is when did the fragment of metal find its way inside Mr. Gory Depp's pipe? Something that was clarified for us in the most recent witness testimony. Like to clean out of one of my soft projectiles. Oh no, she's shaky again. Dear me. During the argument between these two that occurred just as the victim was on the pavement below, Mrs. Gory Depp flung this knife at her husband. However, the knife missed Mr. Gory Depp, instead striking the pipe in his hand at the time, which caused the tip to break off, of course. Good lord. Black magic! Also. Black magic. Yes, and that is when the tiny tip of the blade found its way inside Mr. Gory Depp's pipe. Also das ist nicht ganz logisch, aber mir egal. I take it. The chances of that are 1,000,000 to 1. And yet there's no other credible explanation for how the tip of the blade ended up in your pipe. Then, after losing its tip, the knife ricocheted off the pipe and flew out of the open window. In short, this knife, which fell from the window of the Gory Depp's house, is the very same knife that struck the victim in the middle of the back and on the street below. Oh gosh, oh dear, oh! No! Guck mal, sie ist so small. Es braucht eine Kiste.
Objection!
Aggressives Tee trinken. Ah, erstmal alle holen. Finde ich gut. Ah. A full-bodied theory. I'll give you that. A complex bouquet of seemingly trivial points, plausibly arranged to create an almost passable vintage. Allow me to toast my learned friend's characteristically Nipponese approach to bottling his argument. Er hat bestimmt so ein Lager unter seinem Tisch, weißt du? Sorry? But after all, it is just a theory. A game theory! Okay, lass. Was? Ich meine, hä? The bottle, I fear, is corked. Because you see. Nein, mach das schon! Nimm den weiter runter! It's spoiled by an insurmountable inconsistency. An insurmountable... What? Not one Zeeks. Explain yourself. What is this inconsistency you claim to have identified? An inconsistency of the simplest nature, my lord. The victim was found with the knife planted in the middle of her back. Yes, in her... Ah! Oh! Jetzt hat wieder eine Klatsche. That's right, you silly little man. Now, child old thing. What are you getting so excited about? Let us consider the basic facts of the case once more. The victim was walking along the pavement before being stabbed in the back and falling to the ground. The knife that struck her had fallen from above. There's no possible way it could have planted itself into the victim's back. There is. Das Buch. Das Buch! Buch. Order! Order! Quite right, you see. That's exactly right. If the knife had fallen on her from above, it would have struck her on the top of her head. Well, Rionosuke! He's lost a word. I knew it. I never liked his theory in the first place. I don't know, though. Really did happen? It would appear the defense has made rather a spectacular blunder. If the theory has even one inconsistency, it cannot stand. Your theory, my learned friend, is history. No, it's not! Das Buch! Rionosuke, das Buch! We were so close. I could see the truth. I was so sure we were on the right track. But now the way has been blocked completely. But just one simple inconsistency. Or in other words, we simply need to eliminate that one inconsistency and the theory will stand. Mr. Sato. You mustn't worry, Mr. Naruhodo. You were just caught off guard, that's all, and your mind went blank. But if the path you were on is indeed correct, then a way will present itself. The key to this is in the court record, I'm sure. All the information you need is there. It seems you have nothing to say, my Nipponese friend. Well, your silence speaks volumes. A tacit acceptance that your theory is fatally flawed. No, it's not.
Objection!
Aye! This inconsistency doesn't mean I was on the wrong track. It means that I need to sharpen my mind and dig deeper for the truth. It's a test. Yes! If the knife fell on the victim from above, there's no way that it could have hit her in the middle of her back. Under normal circumstances, that is. What are you implying? Counsel? There is a piece of evidence in the court record that can explain this inconsistency. That can explain how the knife that fell from above could have pierced the victim's back. We already have the answer. Goodness. Utter madness. Surely this must be the last time. Counsel, present the evidence of which you speak. This is the last inconsistency, the final piece in the puzzle. If I can successfully make sense of this, the truth will be laid bare at last. The evidence that explains how the falling knife became lodged into the victim's back is... das Buch!
Take that!
This, the fourth book found at the scene. This is the final piece of evidence the defense will present. The burned book. Is that not Mr. Gary Depp's book? Yes. And to understand its significance, we have to consider how it came to be at the scene in the first place. This photographic print clearly shows the book in question, and the victim holding it in her hand. But as we all know, it was the police constable that put the book between her fingers like that. Quite so. As part of the wholesale transplanting of the crime scene to the opposite side of the road. That's true. However, as part of his testimony, Constable Bede made an extreme enlightening statement on that point. What by the price you put ahead? Ah, well. It's because that's how I found it. Yes. It was still in her hand. In other words, the victim had already picked the book up of her own volition. And clearly, her mother must have been before she suffered the knife wound. Well, I should say so. After being attacked with a knife, I don't imagine she'd have been doing much of anything. So the question becomes, why did the victim have that book in her hand? By Jingo! I think I'm beginning to see what may have happened now. Oh, dearie me. Hast du auch begriffen, wann sieg's? We know that the book fell from the top floor of the Gary Depp household to the pavement below. And precisely the moment that the victim was walking past. Yes, at exactly that moment, the young woman was walking along the street in the light fog, when all of a sudden, a book fell right in front of her. The book I threw. Yes, Mrs. Gary Depp. And what do you think the woman did? What would you do if you were walking along and suddenly a book landed in front of you on the pavement? Well, I really can't imagine it, but I suppose she might have reached down and picked the book up. Yes, that is exactly what the woman in fact did. She picked the book. She picked up the book. Oh heavens! And when the woman reached down to pick the fallen book up. Ups, up habe ich nicht gelesen. What position would her back have been in? That's right. Facing the sky, completely and utterly defenseless. Then, in the very next moment, while the woman was still bent over picking up the book,
The next object fell from the room above, the jackknife, straight into the middle of her back. And at that same time, walking by chance directly behind Mrs. Green, was the defendant, Mr. Soseki Natsume. Well, I never. It appeared to Mr. Natsume that the woman simply collapsed on the floor. In the dark and the fog, he didn't see the knife falling on her from above. Ah. And from the other direction, the constable and his wife saw no one but the victim and her apparent attacker. So there never was a real culprit to run from the scene in the first place. No, this was nothing more than a series of unlikely events that culminated in an unfortunate accident. And that is the real truth behind this case. And now? What do you believe? Well, Mr. and Mrs. Gorideb. The first time you showed me that knife, I had my suspicions. I wondered if perhaps it might have been something like that. There, old Bean. Oh, John Nancy Bean. Bean. Poor Mrs. Gorideb. Oh. Of course, I never meant for anything of the sorts to happen, but it was all my fault, wasn't it? I take full responsibility. I let my anger get the better of me. I threw that book. And I threw the knife as well. John, dear. It's alright, I know. I'm ever so sorry. Truly. I'm sorry. Oh no. Yes! Woo! He did it. Oh nein, sein Knie. Oh no. Sein Knie ist kaputt. Er kann nicht. Oh, but he catched her. Yay! That makes me happy. Yeah, she was catched. Woo! Bart! Hallo Taris, na? Oh, guck mal, Taris hat eine was ist das jetzt? Sexer-Materie? Ich habe keine Ahnung. Ist das eine Sexer-Materie? Hallo Taris, Nassknet. Ist das die Sexer-Materie? Ich kenne meine Materias, ja. Nicht. Nein, müsste 7. Nee, 6. Müsste 6 sein. Whatever. Lord Van Siegs. What news of Mrs. Gorideb? Sie ist erstmal einfach aufgefallen. She's been taken to the infirmary. It would appear that today's events had left her in an especially flustered state. However, I believe she will recover in due course. There is no cause for concern. Yes, unbeknownst to themselves, they caused what could easily have been a terrible tragedy. They shall have to prepare themselves for the consequences of their actions. There is some good news, however, my lord. Ist sie aufgewacht? I've just heard word from the hospital where the victim is being treated. Her condition is improving steadily, and the doctors believe she will regain consciousness soon. It's strange. We've been talking about the victim all this time, but we've never once met her. How wonderful! The woman is out of danger, it seems. Yes, that is good news. Oh, wegen Tarist.
So. Mr. Soseki Natsume. Oh, hallo, da ist er wieder. Guten Tag. Ich merke schon, dass es schon Parodie ist. Yes! Ich weiß nicht, wie habe ich denn geredet? Fuck. On behalf of my fellow countrymen, I would like to take this opportunity to beg your pardon, sir. You came from your distant eastern homeland to study our great British culture. And have been repaid with immeasurable unkindness. Please accept our heartfelt apologies. Ah, so. Ja. Alle still. Mhm. Aha. Mhm. Ja. No. It's me who should be begging your pardon. Oh no, Mr. Natsume. That evening, when the young woman just collapsed on the pavement before my eyes, I jumped to the wrong conclusion again in my confusion. What conclusion, sir? I was sure that the woman was dead. Yes, Constable Beat said the same thing, didn't he? He thought she had been killed too. I suppose she must have looked completely lifeless. It's been about a year since I arrived in Great Britain now, but I still can't get used to life here. I can't relax. I'm sure there are evil spirits lurking in the fog, like they're haunting me. Poor Soseki-san. His imagination really has got the better of him. Yes, poor man. So when it happened, I thought a young woman had been taken by the fog spirits. I should never have dropped my books like that and run away. I should have called for help, for a doctor, for the police. Instead, I've managed to create the rift in the relationship of trust between our two empires. And for that, I am truly sorry. Okay. One could indeed say that some sort of mischievous spirit has been at work here, I think. One that created a chain of unfortunate mishaps. We were befooled by this spirit and led to false conclusions. But thanks to Lord Von Zieks and our young lawyer here from the east, that chain has now been broken and the spirits exorcised. Ah! Okay. I heartily commend you both. Oh! Now then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Yes, my lord. In concluding this trial, I must ask one last time for your decision regarding the defendant's culpability. Are you ready to present your findings to the court? As the foreman of this jury, I can assure you we've reached a fair and just conclusion. I do declare the truth can be extremely cruel at times. Well, I didn't suspect the woman next to me, that's for sure. Ha! Also gewechselt. Setting her in for the old bean whilst she's out of action. A bean! You know, but I know what her decision would be. Does this mean I'll finally be able to get out of here and start work? Well, it's about time. It's bestimmt schon abends, schon 12 Uhr oder so, keine Ahnung. I say, I have a corker of a story to tell the grandchildren when I get home one time. Very well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I hereby demand your final decision. Mr. Foreman. Not guilty. Oh, sorry.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty. Wie Wien! Meine Stimme wieder im Wind nicht mehr. Ha! Very well, Mr. Soseki Natsume, I hereby pronounce you not guilty. Whee! Party! Konfetti! Das ist Konfetti! Los, Konfetti im Chat. Das ist kein Konfetti. Bayern, Konfetti im Chat! Ich hab gesagt Konfetti! Ja! Yay! Da ist Konfetti! Oh Mann, ey, ich bin so doof. And finally, Mr. Natsume. Oh, yes, Lotse! You are now a free man once more. It is my hope that you will continue to further your education in British culture. And may you never again be brought before me. Oh yes, sir. Of course. All my life, I swear never set foot in a courtroom again. I just wanted 2 tears. God damn it. Das Feuerwerk im Saal. Nein, ist schon easy, geht. Thank you, counsels. Court is adjourned. Skrip. So, das. Genau. 20. Februar. Oh, es ist erst 3 Uhr nachmittags. Ja, das ist noch ein bisschen Zeit. The Old Bailey, Defendant's Antechamber. Oh, Lockham. Wait, you mean me? Of course! Is there another Lockham here? Is there even one? Compared to the original Lockham student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, your name has become rather short, hasn't it? What's wrong with using my actual name? Oh, at last. At last! I'm free! I'm free! Joyful, joyous, jubilation! Holy shit, ey, es ist sick, jemand ernst. Heady, hearty happiness, hurrah! Oh, I am pleased! Mr. Natsume is delighted. Would it be so hard just to say that then? Look, you did it! You saved me from the brink. Well, that happened to the poor woman and was in no way your fault after all. I'm just glad everyone can see that now. No, not that! Lovely lawyer, Lockham lawyer! Yes? I mean, as I said before, I have just never got used to life here in Great Britain. Every time I look over my shoulder, I see foreigners. I see towering brick buildings. And from high up windows, I see them looking down on me, laughing. Look at that little hunchback. Oh. Oh dear. I'm sure it's all in your head, Mr. Natsume. But today you, Lockham lawyer, gave me gloom the boost. Okay. You stood firm behind that baronial bench before all those babbling British. You battled to the bitter end, laying bare the baffling truth. And when I beheld the blinding fireworks among the beams of the Bailey's roof, I bellowed. Behold the best barrister I ever born! Okay. Ha! Ich hoffe nicht, der ist anstrengend. Well, that's very flattering and we're very pleased for you. This has given me a wonderful anecdote to recount to my old friends back in Japan. Ja, er mag Alliteration. An anecdote? Is that what's to become of all my hard work? Ist es Scholms? Ah, there you are, my dear fellows. Natürlich ist es Scholms. I apologize for keeping you waiting. All those late... I rose late this morning. Just geh! Leave! Scholms, geh einfach! Oh no. Oh, Mr. Scholms! What a pleasure to see you. I see. I'm here not a moment too soon. A disaster has been averted, I'm glad to say. Aber nicht mit dir.
Oh? The trial shall begin presently, Mr. Naruhodo, and I wish you the very best of luck.
Scholms, du bist so etwa 5 Stunden zu spät. 7 Stunden zu spät. Nee, warte, wie lange haben wir das letzte Mal am Trial gesessen? Du bist 8 Stunden zu spät. It's just finished.
What? No! Then my haste was in vain!
Natürlich war es in vain.
Ah! It's you! Herlock Sholmes!
Nein, es ist nicht Herlock.
Oh. Have we met, sir?
Ah!
Herr Schloss, das Internet wurde noch nicht erfunden. Du bist schon der Internet Explorer. Yes.
Nice.
This is Mr. Natsume. The man you arrested, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, I see. I failed to recognize you at first. Our previous encounters have taken place in the gloom, either of your bleak lodgings or that prison cell. I simply couldn't place that curious face in the light.
Also, charming.
This is all your fault, Herlock Sholmes. You're the reason I had to go through this terrible ordeal. I'm going to give you a piece of my mind. My apologies, sir, but I assure you I have placed you now. You're the fellow who abandoned that poor young lady and ran off, are you not? Had she been taken to the hospital more urgently? I feel perhaps she would have regained consciousness by now.
Oh, das ist jetzt rude. Also, Sherlock, das ist rude. Aber wirklich.
Puh. But it was unavoidable, I'm sure. We are but human after all. Anyone would have been shaken by such an experience.
He's frozen.
I feel very badly about how I behaved. Well, never mind. Now then, what was it that you wanted to say to me, sir?
Nothing.
Allah! Priceless! Oh, I am sorry, really, but that was quite priceless.
Poor Suseki-san. Yes.
Still, on the bright side, you've had an extremely entertaining experience without paying a penny. And it would seem you were not even found guilty. But there is no bright side. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Natsume? Even after this, I'm still cursed. By the spirits, and now by the Reaper!
Lord Van Zieks.
I haven't forgotten, you know, what facing that man in court means. Even if you're found not guilty, you're still doomed!
Oh, don't shake. Shake it, shake it, shake it.
It will be alright, Mr. Natsume. If the Reaper appears trying to make trouble, I will protect you. Oh!
Hey, ja, nein! Oh! Danke, Susato. Sehr nett von dir.
With a perfectly executed Susato takedown.
Much as I like being turned on my head, a bit of a warning might be nice next time, Miss Susato. Whoops.
Yeet! So, Mr. Natsume, what do you intend to do now? You mentioned something about recounting your experiences to your friends back in Japan.
Ist super paranoid, ne?
Yes, I intend to return to my homeland soon. Oh? It has already been a year since I arrived here in Great Britain.
I've visited universities, libraries, bookshops. I've been honored with the tutelage. Tutelage. Ups, das wollte ich nicht. Ups. Tutelage. Ich kann keine Ahnung, wie das ausspricht. Sprich mir das aus! Of professors. I've learned so much about the wealth of literature here and the city it has shaped. And I've come to realize that it is my calling to sail home and tell my fellow countrymen about it. That's very touching, Mr. Natsume. Or, it perhaps in less real terms. You wish to withdraw halfway around the world to escape the terror of the Reaper's curse? That's not it at all! The more I learn of literature, the more these strange feelings claws at my insides. I feel compelled to return to my roots and attempt to pen a work of my own. Oh, I see. A work of literature by Yososeki-san. Could be an interesting read. And what about Mr. Sato and yourself, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry? What about us? Will you return to Japan alongside your mustache compatriot? Why would we? A week has not yet passed since we arrived in London. And only now does it feel as though we have finally found our feet. And you're accommodated in a hotel at present, are you not? That's right. But we need to find lodgings before it bankrupts us. I've calculated we can only afford another 10 nights before our entire budget is exhausted. Well then, you could take my lodgings. Oh, the windowless room. Ah, but what it lacks in windows, it more than makes up with a floor and a ceiling and walls. And walls! Amazing! Great. And of course, I'd be happy to leave behind the accused evil spirit. Oh my, an evil spirit? Oh yes. It tries to suffocate you while you sleep. It's an infallible wake-up call. Ich glaube, er meint die Katze. Nee, sorry, Wände kann ich mir nicht leisten. Die haben bestimmt auch Steuern drauf. Well, I think about it, if that's alright. Perhaps I can offer you a more welcome alternative. Können wir mit ihm wohnen? Would you consider taking lodgings with me? Ja, easy. Ja, lass mal bei Scholms einziehen. Das ist bestimmt supi. Really? Well, a vacancy has conveniently presented itself. Though it is up in the attic, I might add. Are you sure it isn't just a storage loft? I spoke with the landlady this very morning on the matter of price, and Iris is cleaning the room as we speak. You must come at once. I presume you have no luggage to speak of. Oh, this is simply wonderful. Oh, das wird absolute Katastrophe. What an honor to be invited to take in lodgings in the great detective's office. Office attic! I'm too overcome for words. So, suggesting we look elsewhere is out then. If. Ja, mach ein WG mit Scholms. Then it's settled. Iris will prepare a welcome dinner this evening. And you must come too, Mr. Natsume. I insist. I don't know what to say, but thank you. And yes. Mit Schloss wohnen, ja. Wonderful. Then I'll go and complete the paperwork for your formal release. Mr. Natsume, I shan't take long. Somebody's happy. Yes. Actually, yes. Look, I know that you wouldn't let me down. I'm truly delighted to have met you in London. Likewise, Mr. Natsume. It's been a privilege meeting you too. It's a shame that we're going to have to say goodbye so soon.
Well, I've come to realize that I belong in Japan. But look, we'll meet again one day.
Yes, I'm sure. And hopefully by then, I'll be a successful lawyer. Hopefully by then, I'll be a successful author. Aww. Well, my dear fellow, our carriage appears to have arrived. Shall we go, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, Mr. Sholmes. We shall take our leave. I've little doubt Mr. Natsume will be released in time for dinner this evening. Nice. And so, with Soseki-san's innocence successfully established, we rode with Mr. Sholmes to what was to become our new home. 2021B Baker Street. Yay! Sehen wir jetzt die Baker Street Boys. Kommen jetzt auch so ein Anstecker, sind wir jetzt auch, gehören wir jetzt auch zu Collins cooler Gruppe. Februar, 4:21 Uhr. Die Attic Room. Ja, so schlimm ist da gar nicht. Es hat Fenster. Das ist gar nicht so schlimm. Das ist voll okay. Geht voll klar. Das ist Schaufel. So, this is to be our new office. Yes. Our office? I rather like the sound of that. Me too. It's simply wonderful, isn't it? It's not bad. I hope you can see this, Kazuma. It's only a small step. Die Kosten! Yeah. But I'd like to think we're getting a little closer to your dream now. So, my dear fellows, do you like the place? Oh, 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 oh! Oh, wie nice! I like that outfit even more. Okay. Ich finde lustig, wie seine Haare so fallen. Ey! Das ist eine mega geile Weste. What the fuck? Sholmes. Holy shit, ey. Kann ich die klauen? Kann ich deine Weste klauen? Bitte, danke. Ich will die Weste klauen. Danke. Ich finde die Weste voll geil. Ja, same, Taris. So klar. Ah, Mr. Sholmes. Yes, thank you so much. It's a delightful room, Mr. Sholmes. I simply adore it. Good. I'm pleased to hear it. Iris and I are delighted to welcome you. I hope everyone's hungry. It's nearly time for dinner. We'll eat as soon as Mr. Natsume arrives. We have a lot to celebrate. Iris, you must let me help you. Alright then. Susie! You can be in charge of the salad. Nicht der Salat. Splendid! Ich mag seine Haare so mehr tatsächlich. Ich finde die nice. So, Mr. Naruhodo, how does it feel? Schöner Salat. To have your own office in the capital? Die Weste ist so geil. What the fuck? Ich möchte die klauen. Das ist für Pain in the Asses, die zu machen. Pain in the Ass. It's very exciting, actually. I can't help wondering what adventures await us. Ja, ist okay. Lach mich aus. Those were precisely my sentiments when I first established my office at these premises. Until I discovered the dark truth about the city of London, that is. Sorry? London is a glorious place, full of wonder, opportunity, prosperity and mirth. But the brightest of lights. Alter! Seine Haare sind voll lustig. Ich finde die witzig. Cast the darkest of shadows. Ja. Nice Frisur. Hat er da eine Pistole? Hat er eine Pistole? What the fuck? Shadows? What do you mean?
Well, I believe you're well aware of the murkiness that lies behind London's facade already. So, once again, Mr. Naruhodo. Welcome to London.
Dankeschön. Nice. Läuft einfach mit Pistole rum.
Of course, at the time, I had no idea of the significance of those words Mr. Sholmes so casually spoke. But it wasn't long before my turn came. To lift the facade and see the true depth of the murk that lay behind it. Woo! Nice. We did it!
Awarded! Landed in London. Yes, please save my progress.
Hiya!
Wie komme ich wieder auf den Title Screen? Nicht da. Shit. Okay, gut. Ah, back. Es sind noch so viele, Alter. Es sind noch, okay. Wir haben noch, oh Gott, es sind noch. Die werden lange. Die zwei werden doch lange. Also vor allem der hier wird doch fucking lange. Okay, die nächste Episode wird The Adventure of the Unspeakable Story. The Hound of the Baskervilles. Ich finde das gut, das ist halt das Unbreakable Speckled Band. Anspielung halt wirklich auf die Story. Das wird lange dauern. Ganz ehrlich, das wird eine lange Episode. Fucking Hounds of Baskerville. Nice. Yes. Title Stream. Das wird dauern, aber ich freue mich. Das wird cool. Aber hey, das heißt, es sollte nicht mehr allzu lange gehen, bis wir das haben. Es wird vermutlich, ich denke, das wird vermutlich viele Teile geben dann. Aber you know, it's nice. So. Ey. Ich will mal gucken, ob ah, nee, das geht wieder nicht. Fuck you. Why you not working? Why you not working? Oh nein, jetzt hab ich Stuck auf. Bitte nicht. Help! Hiya. Wir reden mal zu Mo rüber. Nee, Cory, kannst du jetzt nicht. Cory, please. Hallo, Cory. Cory, ich bin doch auch gerade fertig. Kannst doch nicht tun. Ich bin gerade auch fertig geworden. Uff, Cory. No. Hallo, Cory. Ja, Timing schlecht. Wir sind gerade mit Kapitel 5 fertig geworden. Es liegt nur noch 6 vor uns. Und dann sind wir dann. Ich wollte gerade zu Mo rüber. Never miss. Oh. Eigentlich wollte ich gerade sagen tschüss und ich schicke euch mal zu Mo rüber. Nee. Und dann wünsche ich euch noch einen schönen Abend und ganz viel Spaß und bis zum nächsten Mal. Tschüss!